Chapter 33. Because they were hiding inside the tree, Zhao Feng could see the man in gray, but the man in gray couldn't see him. Zhao Feng used his left eye to lock onto the target and calculated the trajectory. 3 poison arrows were knocked on the bowstring. He didn't attack immediately. Once I attack, my aura will be discovered by the 2 beasts at the peak of the 5th rank. Zhao Feng remained calm. He didn't want to face the counterattack of the 2 silver-striped blood leopards after killing the man in gray. On the other side, the man in gray was struggling to deal with the 2 beasts. He was also keeping an eye out for Zhao Feng's sneak attack. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. This person was indeed an elite king amongst the same rank. Even in this kind of situation, he was still able to keep his guard up. Rumble at this moment, the ground and the trees nearby started to tremble, as if there was a giant creature moving. Hiss! The 2 silver blood-striped leopards, which were at the peak of the 5th heaven, trembled at the same time. They stopped attacking and shivered. Roar! A soul-shaking roar echoed in a 10-mile radius, causing countless beasts and even beasts to tremble. What is that? Zhao Feng felt his blood boil and his eardrums vibrate. Just the aura and the roar made him feel uneasy. Not good, the man in gray seemed to realize something and his face turned pale. The information that the gray-clothed man knew about the sky cloud forest far surpassed Zhao Feng, who was just a disciple of the branch family. That is, Zhao Feng saw a purple-black tiger with 2 wings on its back with his left eye. It was 7 to 8 meters tall and more than 10 meters long, like a small mountain. Such a huge saber-toothed tiger was purplish-black in color. It was a daunting sight to behold. In terms of size, the Tiger King was as weak as a baby in front of it. The scariest thing was that there was a pair of black wings on the tiger's back, which allowed it to fly for a short period of time. Rumble wherever the tiger went, the trees collapsed. Some of the trees that needed 3 to 4 people to wrap their arms around were instantly turned into pieces. A shapeless wave of air swept through an area of over 30 meters, and it seemed to have exceeded the limits of a human's strength. Double-winged saber-toothed tiger, a high-tier vicious beast with strength comparable to the 8th or 9th stage of the martial path. The gray-robed man fell into extreme fear, his legs trembling. The aura of a high-tier fierce beast caused countless wild beasts to tremble in fear. This was a pressure that originated from a creature's bloodline. Even from far away, it made one tremble, unable to budge. Zhao Feng stood in the branches and leaves of the towering tree, his legs trembling uncontrollably. Under that terrifying aura, he couldn't even control his body. Roar! With a loud roar, the double-winged saber-toothed tiger pounced towards the silver blood-striped leopard and the gray-robed man. Help! The gray-robed man struggled with all his might before he managed to regain some strength to move. Crack! The double-winged saber-toothed tiger opened its mouth and swallowed a silver blood-striped leopard whole. The bloody scene caused Zhao Feng, who was hiding in the dark, to feel a chill in his heart. Yet, even he had to endure that terrifying aura. Zhao Feng even had a feeling that the double-winged saber-toothed tiger had sensed his existence. After the double-winged saber-toothed tiger swallowed a silver blood-striped leopard, its blood-purple eyes looked towards the towering tree where Zhao Feng was. What? Zhao Feng's body felt like it had fallen into an ice cave. When a fierce beast reached the high tier, it couldn't be measured by common sense. Have you ever seen a tiger with wings, and such a huge one at that? Run! Run quickly. If I don't run, there won't be any hope left. Zhao Feng had a strong desire to live. Under that suffocating pressure, Zhao Feng focused all of his attention into his left eye. The ability of his left eye was pushed to the limit, allowing him to enter an extremely calm state. Apart from that, his left eye released a trace of heat that spread throughout his body. Zhao Feng felt the pressure on his body lighten. Run! His body turned into a blur as he found a blind spot that the opponent couldn't see and ran into the distance. But even so, Zhao Feng still felt an oppressive pressure as if he had been targeted. Kacha! Another miserable howl came from behind him. The other silver blood-striped leopard had also died. In an instant, the double-winged saber-toothed tiger had killed two fierce beasts that were comparable to the peak of the 5th rank. Only the gray-robed man was left near it. Run! The gray-robed man ran in another direction in despair. The double-winged saber-toothed tiger slowly ate the food in its mouth, digesting it bit by bit before it slowly chased after the gray-robed man. Although the double-winged saber-toothed tiger was only jogging, the gray-robed man was in despair. The distance between them was getting closer and closer. One had to know that he had trained in a high-tier movement skill that had reached the high level, and his cultivation was close to the 6th rank of the martial path. The speed at which he could squeeze out his potential was even faster than Zhao Feng's. On the other side, Zhao Feng's potential was completely unleashed. His lightly floating fairy increased his speed by a few notches. Furthermore, the blood in his body was squeezed out, exceeding his usual limit. My cultivation has reached the peak of the 4th rank. Zhao Feng felt his improvement, but he was not happy at all. This was because the double-winged saber-toothed tiger's senses and vision were extremely strong. Even if he ran 10 miles away, he would not be able to escape. At this moment, the sound of fighting came from behind him. Gray Moon Slash. Before the gray-robed man died, he used a fatal strike. The thin curved blade in his hand slashed out with an ear-piercing sound, and the powerful inner strength of the martial path even moved forward a few feet. The power of that strike was instantly pushed to the peak of a high-tier martial skill. Not only that, the gray-robed man's cultivation also broke through to the 6th rank in that instant. Pucci, that fatal strike could almost kill a 6th rank martial path cultivator, and it landed on the double-winged saber-toothed tiger. Roar! The double-winged saber-toothed tiger opened its mouth and swallowed the gray-robed man along with his weapon. As for that powerful, Gray Moon Slash, it only left a half-inch deep wound on the double-winged saber-toothed tiger's body. That kind of wound was like an itch to a giant creature like this. Seeing the gray-robed man die, Zhao Feng felt a sense of danger, as if he was shrouded in the shadow of death. The double-winged saber-toothed tiger's next target was him. Luckily, the double-winged saber-toothed tiger was still a distance away from him, and it was only leisurely chasing. The double-winged saber-toothed tiger had eaten a few wild and fierce beasts, and it seemed to be full, so it couldn't run fast. Zhao Feng thought that the double-winged saber-toothed tiger would give up on chasing him. But the double-winged saber-toothed tiger had a playful look in its eyes as it locked onto him. This bastard! Zhao Feng cursed as he activated his left eye, trying to find an escape route. Suddenly, a stream appeared on the left, and on the other side was a canyon. Zhao Feng's left eye saw through 10 miles of distance, and found a deep cave in the canyon. It was more than enough for him, but with the double-winged saber-toothed tiger's size, it definitely wouldn't be able to enter. Zhao Feng quickly thought of a plan, and with a leap, he left the forest and floated towards the stream. Whoosh! 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 Zhao Feng's feet lightly stepped on the surface of the water, and he quickly crossed the stream. With his current level of cultivation, using lightly floating fairy, it wasn't hard for him to walk on the water. Whoosh! The double-winged saber-toothed tiger suddenly flapped its wings, and flew into the air, chasing after Zhao Feng. Run! Zhao Feng was shocked, and he pushed his speed to the limit, running towards the cave in the canyon. The double-winged saber-toothed tiger wasn't a flying beast, so its flying ability was average. Adding on the fact that it had eaten too much, it wasn't fast. Even so, it still chased after Zhao Feng. In his vision, the cave was getting closer and closer. 10 miles. 9 miles. 8 miles, the distance between them was getting closer. When the cave was only 1 to 2 miles away, Zhao Feng suddenly felt a cold aura. Whoosh! A ghastly and bloody aura was born in the canyon. Hiss! The eerie and frightening sound made Zhao Feng's heart tremble. Even the double-winged saber-toothed tiger paused in its flight, as if it was afraid. Whoosh! Suddenly, a violent tremor came from the valley. A blood-colored python as thick as a water tank jumped out of the cave. It was more than 10 meters long, and it was terrifying. The blood-colored python's aura wasn't any weaker than the double-winged saber-toothed tiger. Ah! Zhao Feng's body stiffened, as if he was petrified. In front of him was the python, and behind him was the double-winged tiger. This was the most desperate situation of all. However, what made him feel slightly relieved was that after the blood-colored python appeared, it was immediately attracted by the double-winged saber-toothed tiger. The two beasts stared at each other from afar. The double-winged saber-toothed tiger let out a roar in mid-air, as if it was demonstrating its power. The blood-colored python didn't back down. This was its territory, and it wouldn't allow anyone to invade. As for the tiny Zhao Feng, he had been completely ignored. After staring at each other for a long time, the double-winged saber-toothed tiger finally became impatient. It roared and pounced at the blood-colored python. So, the blood-colored python jumped up and faced the double-winged saber-toothed tiger head-on. Instantly, the two beasts fought fiercely, causing the ground to shake and dust to rise. Zhao Feng didn't dare to act rashly. He quietly moved back, concealed his aura, and moved closer to the cave. Roar! At a certain moment, the blood-colored python and the double-winged saber-toothed tiger were entangled, tearing at each other. The bloody and cruel scene made Zhao Feng's heart tremble. After a long time, the movements of the two beasts became smaller and smaller. Half an hour later, there was silence in the canyon. Zhao Feng let out a long breath and slowly approached the bodies of the two beasts carefully. Even though his left eye had confirmed that their life force had dissipated and they were dead. Zhao Feng walked up to the small mountain of corpses and glanced over them, feeling a sense of regret. The bodies of the two beasts were heavily damaged. Zhao Feng didn't expect to bring such a large group back to Sunfeather City. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Zhao Feng squatted down and took out a thin curved blade from the corpses. This curved blade was the weapon of the gray-robed man, and it was extremely sharp. Roar! At this moment, the roars of wild beasts came from the nearby valley. Zhao Feng scanned the area with his left eye and was shocked. There were tens of fierce beasts approaching, and the strongest of them was comparable to the 6th rank of the martial path. Not good, the bodies of the two high-rank fierce beasts must have attracted the attention of other fierce beasts and wild beasts. Great! Zhao Feng was overjoyed. The blood-colored spring water was the essence of the power within the blood-colored rock wall. It was precisely because of it that precious herbs could grow on the rock wall for thousands of years. Thump! Zhao Feng no longer hesitated and jumped into the blood-colored liquid. Glug, glug. Blood-colored bubbles rose around his body. Zhao Feng felt a powerful and hot energy enter his body through his pores. It first cleansed the surface of his skin and flesh, then after a buffer, the warm energy seeped into his body. Woo! Zhao Feng felt so comfortable that he couldn't help but moan. The power of this blood-colored liquid is several times stronger than the body-tempering liquid I bought. Zhao Feng circulated the air-crossing mantra and metal wall technique at the same time. The blood-colored liquid was magical. Not only could it strengthen the body like the body-tempering liquid, but it could also help internal cultivation. It could be used both internally and externally. Time flew by. Under the effect of the blood-colored liquid, Zhao Feng's air-crossing mantra and metal wall technique progressed at the same time. But relatively speaking, the blood-colored liquid had a greater effect on body tempering. This was because the medicinal energy first cleansed the surface of the body and was absorbed by the flesh and bones by more than 70%. About half a day later, Zhao Feng felt that his metal wall technique had finally reached the peak of the 2nd level. At this moment, he felt that his body had become extremely tough. The surface of his skin was like iron, and his bones were stronger. Metal wall technique has reached the 3rd level. My defense has doubled, and my strength has increased by 200 to 300 kilograms. Zhao Feng was very satisfied. If he could completely stabilize the third level of metal wall technique, his body would be as hard as steel and he could block swords and blades. After reaching the third level, Zhao Feng stayed in the blood-colored liquid for a few more hours. At this moment, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th rank of the martial path. As for inner strength, it was close to the 5th rank. In the sky cloud forest, when he was on the verge of death, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th rank of the martial path. Even the gray-robed elder had reached the 6th rank of the martial path before he died. It looks like a martial artist's potential can be stimulated when they are on the verge of death. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. After stabilizing the 3rd level of metal wall technique, he jumped out of the blood-colored liquid and came to the entrance of the cave. Roar, roar, roar! In the valley outside of the cave, some deadly beasts and even stronger wild beasts were fighting with each other. The scene was bloody and corpses were everywhere. If he met the gray-robed man again, he was confident that he could win. Cultivation was a kind of basic strength. As one's basic strength increased, the power of all kinds of martial arts moves, martial Dao inner strength, and lightness martial arts would also increase. After stabilizing himself for a day, Zhao Feng ran towards the entrance of the cave. Roar! A soul-shaking roar came from within the canyon. Zhao Feng's blood shook, and his eardrums hurt. His body was suppressed by a killing aura, and his blood was trembling uncontrollably. That is, his expression was one of shock. He saw a 7 to 8 meter long green-eyed wolf squatting in the canyon. It gave off a shocking killing aura, and as it roared, all the wild and deadly beasts within 10 miles knelt down. It was obvious that this green-eyed wolf was a high-tier deadly beast, and its strength wasn't any weaker than the double-winged sword-teeth tiger or the blood-red python. The green-eyed wolf sensed Zhao Feng, and with a roar, it charged over like a tornado. What speed! Zhao Feng's left eye constricted, and he quickly circulated his inner strength, turning into a blur as he retreated into the depths of the cave. Boom! The cave shook violently, and an invisible wave of air swept in all directions. The remaining wave hit Zhao Feng's body, causing him to groan. A high-tier deadly beast, what terrifying power! Zhao Feng's body was hit by the wave of air, and he felt a faint pain. This was because he had circulated his inner strength to protect himself, and his metal wall technique had reached the 3rd level, so his body was like iron. If it was when he had just reached the 4th rank of the martial path, this wave of air would probably have killed him. Boom! The green-eyed wolf roared, and it charged at the entrance of the cave. Zhao Feng felt like the mountain was shaking. Luckily, the walls were hard enough, and the entrance of the cave was smaller than the green-eyed wolf. After a few attacks, the entrance collapsed. Boom! As the entrance collapsed, a large piece of rock covered the entrance. Ah! Zhao Feng's expression changed, and black lines appeared on his forehead. Then, with a slight trembling sound, the green-eyed wolf left the entrance. However, Zhao Feng could still feel its aura. After the blood-red python died, the canyon became the territory of the green-eyed wolf. Even if Zhao Feng could barely dig through the entrance, he would still have to face a powerful enemy. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and returned to the blood pond in the depths of the cave. The cave was spacious, and there were still snakes and bats that could be eaten. It was enough for Zhao Feng to survive for a while. Plop! Zhao Feng jumped into the blood pond, closed his eyes, and focused on cultivating the metal wall technique. The blood-colored liquid was especially useful for body tempering. Zhao Feng felt his body burning, as if it was being corroded. His skin, flesh, bones, and meridians were all changing. Boom! 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 His left eye strangely throbbed, and a trace of warmth spread through his limbs and bones, greatly increasing the efficiency of his absorption of the blood-colored liquid. 2 hours. 4 hours. 6 hours. Zhao Feng felt his body become stronger, and his bones became as hard as steel. His heartbeat became more stable. The progress of the metal wall technique continued to increase, as if it would never stop. Half a day. 1 day. 2 days. Finally, 2 days later, Zhao Feng found that his metal wall technique had reached the 4th level. Chapter 35. The first 3 levels of the metal wall technique were only for the foundation. Only after reaching the 4th level and above would one be able to display its true power. Once this body tempering technique was promoted to the 4th layer, one's body would be like an iron wall, impenetrable by swords and spears. This meant that with Xian phase attack, Zhao Feng could take it with his body. A few cultivators of the 4th or 5th rank of the martial path wouldn't be able to hurt him. The 4th level of the metal wall technique didn't just strengthen the skin and flesh, it also melted the inner strength into the bones and flesh. It could greatly increase one's strength, and it could also increase one's resistance against swords, blades, and inner strength. Zhao Feng's current feeling was extremely obvious. He didn't need to use inner strength, but he could feel the power in his bones and muscles. I can easily defeat a cultivator of the 4th rank without using inner strength. I can even fight against a cultivator of the 5th rank. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and closed his eyes to feel the power in his body. At this moment, Zhao Feng finally understood the benefits of a body-strengthening technique. If he had reached the 4th level of the metal wall technique, he would have been able to deal with the attacks of the 3 martial artists at the same time instead of falling into a desperate situation. Teng. Zhao Feng jumped out of the blood pool and stabilized his body for a few hours before he floated to the entrance of the cave. The entrance of the cave was blocked by a pile of rocks. Zhao Feng could see the situation in the valley through the cracks of the rocks. It's still here. Zhao Feng frowned as he saw the green-eyed giant wolf lying in the valley, snoring. He didn't dare to move, so he only moved some rocks away. Roar! Right at this moment, the green-eyed giant wolf howled, and a strong aura of killing intent echoed throughout the valley. Zhao Feng felt helpless as he returned to the depths of the cave. The green-eyed giant wolf was a high-rank deadly beast, so it wouldn't be easy for Zhao Feng to get away with it. There's only 2 more days until the tournament starts. Zhao Feng was slightly anxious as he soaked in the blood pool. It was impossible to force his way through. The green-eyed giant wolf's strength was comparable to the 8th rank of the martial path, and anyone below the 7th rank would be killed instantly. There were 9 ranks of the martial path, and every 3 ranks was a dividing line. The 4th to 6th ranks of the martial path were the energy accumulation rank, and the 7th to 8th ranks were the energy breaking rank. Zhao Feng might be able to challenge someone of the 6th rank of the martial path, but he wouldn't be able to challenge someone of the energy-breaking rank. The green-eyed giant wolf was equivalent to a chi-breaking stage master, or at least an 8th rank master. The first 3 chairs were the top 3 disciples of the clan, and all of them were at the 5th rank of the martial path. Looking at their auras, Zhao Qi and Zhao Han had both reached the 5th rank of the martial path recently. As for Zhao Linlong, his eyes were closed from start to finish, and he was unfathomable. He didn't even look at the battles on the stage. Why isn't the outer disciple, Zhao Feng, here? Yeah, I heard that he defeated a disciple of the 4th rank of the martial path a few days ago. Some of the Zhao clan disciples discussed amongst themselves. Only a few of the higher-ups of the Zhao clan noticed Zhao Feng's situation. On the stage. If he came, he would be at least of the 4th rank of the martial path, so he should be in the top 5. But why? An old man with a white beard murmured to himself. This old man was the head judge of the Outer Disciples tournament, and he had stopped Zhao Tianjian from pressuring Zhao Feng. Today, he was also one of the 2 head judges of the tournament. If he can come, then the sun will rise from the west. Zhao Tianjian's eyes flashed with anger, but then he thought to himself, but, why didn't Grey Eagle give me a reply after he completed the mission? Sky Cloud Forest, deep inside a dark cave. Zhao Feng was still soaking in the pool of blood, and his last bit of hope had gone down the drain. Time passed slowly. He was sure that the tournament had already begun. But the green-eyed giant wolf was still guarding his territory, so Zhao Feng didn't dare to act rashly. The only thing he could do now was to soak in the pool and practice the metal wall technique and air-crossing breathing technique. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. Zhao Feng's metal wall technique slowly rose to the peak of the 4th rank. His inner strength had reached the peak of the 5th rank, and was even close to the 6th rank. Even his cultivation, which was the slowest, was close to the peak of the 5th rank. It's been a day since the tournament started. Zhao Feng no longer had any hope in his heart. Although the clan martial meet was important, but compared to his own life, which was more important, he had his own considerations. Furthermore, as long as he had enough strength, even if he didn't participate in the tournament, he wouldn't have to fear anything. Roar! A faint roar came from the canyon, coming closer and closer. Ah! Zhao Feng's figure leapt out of the blood-colored pond. That roar obviously came from the green-eyed giant wolf. Let's go take a look. Zhao Feng used lightly fairy, and in an instant, he arrived at the blocked entrance. Through the cracks in the rocks, Zhao Feng saw the situation in the valley. At that moment, on the other side of the valley, about 3 to 4 miles away, a few human figures appeared. Humans. Zhao Feng was overjoyed at first, but then his mood became gloomy again. High-rank deadly beasts were terrifying, and normal people wouldn't even be able to get close to them, unless there was a martial master amongst them. Zhao Feng's left eye was 3 to 4 miles away, but he could clearly see the faces of these people. Even the moles on their faces, the lines on their skin, it was all there. There were 3 people, 2 males and 1 female. Most of them were 17 or 18, and the oldest was only 20. At this age, it was almost impossible for them to be martial masters. In Zhao Feng's mind, which of the elders in the Zhao clan wasn't in their 70s or 80s? However, when the green-eyed giant wolf faced these people, it didn't attack immediately, as if it was afraid of them. The 2 males and 1 female were wearing black robes, so they should be members of some force. From 3 to 4 miles away, Zhao Feng couldn't hear their voices, since his ears weren't as powerful as his left eye. At this moment, the older youth in the lead calmly said, "This beast is actually capable of understanding human nature." "No challenge." Another youth said in disdain. "Leave it to me." The last girl said timidly. "Okay, Sister Yuan, your battle skills are too weak. Now, you need to kill it in 1 move." The leading youth said. If Zhao Feng could hear their conversation, he would be shocked. Then, he watched as the young and inexperienced girl walked towards the high-level vicious beast and the gigantic green-eyed giant wolf. Roar! The green-eyed giant wolf howled and pounced towards the young girl. My God! Zhao Feng was dazed. At that moment, his heart rate sped up. The young girl could die in the mouth of the green-eyed giant wolf. Zhao Feng's left eye was pushed to the limit. In his vision, the world seemed to slow down by tens of times. Break! The young girl in his field of vision flew up gracefully. Her jade-like hand slowly drew a line, and a layer of strange green light condensed in her jade-like hand, transforming into a whirlwind of sharp light. It followed a strange trajectory and hit the head of the giant green wolf. Poochie! The skin of the green-eyed giant wolf that was harder than steel was cut open, and its head instantly exploded. It let out a cry of pain and fell to the ground dead. Boom! Dust flew everywhere, and only the corpse of the green-eyed giant wolf was left in a pool of blood. Such a scene. It made Zhao Feng stunned. His left eye was still twitching. In the pitch-black space, the faint green light split into 2 with a schwa, turning into 2 figures, one representing the green-eyed giant wolf, and the other representing the young girl. The 2 figures quickly approached each other. The small girl followed a strange trajectory, as if she had merged with some sort of force, and every move she made was filled with power, killing the green-eyed giant wolf in 1 move. The scene, especially the way the young girl attacked, was repeated in the pitch-black space, and was imprinted in his mind. Zhao Feng's body was like stone, and his eyes were closed, as if he had entered a mysterious state, as if he didn't feel anything. He didn't even know when the people in the canyon had left. Sister Yuan, this is your first time fighting. Although the opponent was weak, you did well. The youth in charge praised. When Zhao Feng opened his eyes, there was no one in the canyon, only the corpse of the green-eyed giant wolf remained. Everything that had happened before was like a dream. But if he opened his left eye, in the pitch-black space, he would repeat the scene of the young girl killing the high-rank, deadly beast in one move. Chapter 36. What is the background of those people? Zhao Feng was shocked, and he almost doubted the authenticity of what had just happened. What was even more bizarre was that his left eye had just activated a weird ability. The scene of the girl defeating the azure-headed giant wolf was absorbed into the dimension of his left eye. If Zhao Feng wanted to, he could open the scene at any time and comprehend it himself. Zhao Feng didn't think too much about things that he couldn't understand. However, this incident made him realize that his understanding of the world he was in was very limited. The azure flower continent was boundless, and there were countless countries. Just the sky cloud forest alone passed through tens of countries, and Sun Feather City was nothing. In this world, there were many unknown existences that he couldn't come into contact with. Recollecting his thoughts, Zhao Feng soon revealed a look of joy as he observed the scene in the canyon. With the death of the azure-eyed giant wolf, there was nothing else that could stop him. Leave quickly. Zhao Feng became slightly anxious as he thought about the main tournament. The entrance of the cave was filled with rocks, and he needed to open a path. Boom! The smaller rocks were no more than 300 kilograms, and when Zhao Feng punched them, he could shatter them into pieces with just his physical strength. If he circulated his inner strength, they would shatter into pieces. When he met larger rocks, Zhao Feng would use all his strength to move them. Normal cultivators of the 5th rank of the martial path had around 1,500 kilograms of strength. Because Zhao Feng's metal wall technique had reached the 4th level, he had at least 1,500 kilograms of strength. Of course, metal wall technique's biggest use was to strengthen the body and increase defense, but the increase in strength was secondary. Around half an hour later, Zhao Feng opened the entrance. He didn't leave immediately because there were still some natural treasures on the blood-colored rock walls in the depths of the cave. Woo! Roar! Right at this moment, the roars of wild and deadly beasts came from the outside of the canyon. The bodies of high-tier deadly beasts will definitely attract wild and deadly beasts. Zhao Feng had experienced it once, so he increased his speed. He quickly returned to the end of the cave, leaped up, and flew to the blood-colored rock wall, plucking the few natural treasures on it. Zhao Feng only had one goal, which was to obtain the 3,000-year-old medicinal herbs, 1,000-year-old blood ginseng, 1,000-year-old blood lingji, and 1,000-year-old blood bamboo. He did this for two reasons. First, it was to save time to prevent too many dire beasts from gathering outside the canyon, especially high-level dire beasts. Secondly, Zhao Feng had consumed a lot of 300-year-old and 500-year-old precious medicinal herbs. For the current him, their effects weren't that great. Zhao Feng took down 3,000-year-old medicinal herbs. Zeng! Without stopping, he turned into a blur and headed straight for the entrance of the blood python's cave. When Xiaochen entered the canyon, he saw 7 or 8 ferocious beasts fighting each other. There were also several dozen other powerful wild beasts, each of them possessing strength close to that of a martial cultivator. Zhao Feng tried his best to avoid it. He had no time to care about the corpses of the high-level dire beasts. He ran toward the stream and the wild forest on the other side of the canyon. Even though he tried his best to take a detour, there were still a few wild beasts and a low-tier ferocious beast that pounced on him. "You're courting death." Zhao Feng snorted as he approached like a ghost and struck a low-tier ferocious beast with his palm. Crack! The lotier ferocious beast's skeleton was split in half and it died on the spot. And Zhao Feng's palm strike didn't even contain any martial path inner strength. The lotier ferocious beast that was killed was as strong as the Tiger King that he had met when he first came to the Sky Cloud Forest. After killing this lotier ferocious beast in one move, the other wild beasts scattered in fear. Zhao Feng's body floated onto the stream, his feet lightly tapping on the water as he entered the wild forest on the other side. Following the route in his memory, Zhao Feng returned the same way he came. On the way back, he encountered a few more ferocious beasts. Because there were corpses of high-level ferocious beasts in the canyon, it had attracted the attention of many others. Flaming Metal Fist. Zhao Feng yelled as an azure aura surged around his fist, like a ball of fire, as he took on a lotier ferocious beast that was comparable to a rank 5 ferocious beast. With just one punch, the lotier ferocious beast that was comparable to a rank 5 ferocious beast had its organs shattered by Zhao Feng. After being cleansed in the spring and with the help of the blood Lingji mushroom, Zhao Feng's martial path inner strength was much stronger than those of the rank 5 ferocious path. He used all of his air-crossing breathing manual, and his martial path inner strength could instantly kill someone of the same rank. 2 hours later, Zhao Feng returned to the edge of the Sky Cloud Forest and quickly rushed back to Sunfeather City. On the way, he leaped onto roofs and vaulted over walls, heading straight for the Zhao clan's territory. I heard that the Zhao clan's main tournament is about to end. The main tournament is split into the challenge for the quota and the challenge for the ranking. The former should have been settled, but I didn't get the chance to watch it. On the way back, he heard some related voices. After returning to the Zhao clan, Zhao Feng didn't immediately go to the main tournament venue. Instead, he ran back home and put away the 3,000-year herbs. Then, he quickly changed his clothes and ran out the door. Leaping a few steps, Zhao Feng used the hiding air-breathing manual and quickly hid his cultivation at the peak of the rank 4 ferocious path. As for the inner strength, because it had absorbed too much of the herbs, the aura that leaked out was equivalent to that of the rank 5 ferocious path. This is the only way. Zhao Feng used lightly floating fairy and quickly arrived at the main tournament venue. At this time, the family tournament seemed to have reached a certain stage. After a day of intense fighting, the challenge for the quota has ended. The 50 inner disciples have been confirmed. Next up is the challenge for the ranking. The 50 of you will have to challenge each other to determine your ranking and then receive the clan's reward. A powerful voice echoed throughout the entire venue. In the middle of the huge venue, there was only one challenge stage. It was 300 meters wide. On the other side of the challenge stage, there was a platform. On the platform, there were 50 chairs. On each chair, there was a person, representing an inner disciple. The first round of the challenge for the quota was for the outer disciples to challenge the previous inner disciples to compete for the 50 inner disciple spots. Zhao Feng quickly scanned through and found that among the outer disciples, Zhao Yufei, Zhao Yu, Zhao Yijian, Zhao Guang, and Zhao Qian had all made it into the 50 spots. However, these 5 people's seats were relatively low, and they were basically in the last 10 chairs. Only Zhao Yufei was in the top 20. Of course, this was only the temporary ranking from the first round of the challenge for the quota. The real ranking would have to wait for the next round of the challenge for the ranking. I'm still late. Zhao Feng flashed his identity token, passed through the guards, and floated into the arena. It's Zhao Feng. It's him, the genius of the outer disciples. The moment Zhao Feng appeared, he attracted many gazes. Judge, I'm late. Can I still participate in the competition? Zhao Feng took a deep breath and walked in front of the judge, who was announcing the progress of the competition. No matter who you are, the first round of the challenge for the quota has ended. You are considered to have forfeited the right to participate. The judge said mercilessly. He did not think that Zhao Feng had any reason to give special treatment to him. It's him. On the platform, the white-bearded head judge's eyes lit up. During the Outer Disciples tournament, he was also the head judge, and he had witnessed how Zhao Feng had swept the Outer Disciples. Hearing the judge's merciless reply, Zhao Feng shook his head helplessly. With his current strength, he was not very interested in the tournament itself. There were only 2 or 3 people who could be his opponents. But what Zhao Feng was interested in was the prize. It was said that if he made it to the top 3, he could go to the martial arts library and choose a top martial art. Looking at the current situation, Zhao Feng knew that he could not force it. He was already extremely lucky to have had that opportunity in the Sky Cloud Forest. Wait. A voice sounded. It came from the white-bearded head judge. Head judge. You are. The judge was confused. In the Outer Disciples tournament, he swept away hundreds of disciples and obtained first place. His comprehension is excellent, and his potential is immeasurable. We can give him a chance. The white-bearded head judge said indifferently. Zhao Feng was overjoyed, and immediately looked at the white-bearded head judge with gratitude. This was not the first time the head judge had helped him. I object. A cold voice came from the other side of the platform. Everyone turned to look. The person who spoke was Zhao Tianjian. A country has its laws, and a family has its rules. How can the rules be changed just because of one person? This person even dared to be late for the family's tournament. How can he have any family rules in his heart? Zhao Tianjian spoke vehemently, as if he was filled with righteous indignation. Zhao Feng frowned, feeling somewhat disgusted. He was late because he thought that Zhao Tianjian had sent someone to assassinate him. Now, he even wanted to stop him from participating in the tournament. That's right. Zhao Tianjian's words make sense. We cannot open the back door for this kind of person. He even dared to be late for the family's tournament. Kid, just wait for the next one in 3 years. There was no lack of people who took pleasure in his misfortune. Facing this argument, some of the higher-ups on the platform began to discuss in low voices. This year's family martial gathering was extremely important. Not only did some of the elders come, even the head of the Zhao family, Zhao Tiansong, came. They were all legendary figures. As the higher-ups of the clan, they had a different perspective. They would rather have more geniuses appear in the clan and focus on nurturing them. What do the 2 judges think? Zhao Tiansong's face was expressionless. There were 3 people who had the highest authority in the tournament, the head of the clan, and the 2 judges. At this moment, the head of the clan, Zhao Tiansong, did not speak, but was asking for the opinions of the 2 judges. I support Zhao Feng. The family rules are to nurture more elite disciples and make the clan stronger. The white-bearded head judge said decisively. Immediately, many people looked at the other head judge. The other judge was a white-robed elder. Zhao Feng felt that he looked familiar. He quickly remembered that the other person was the white-robed elder who guarded the martial arts library. The white-robed elder also saw Zhao Feng, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. He muttered, I also support Zhao Feng. As soon as these words came out, the crowd went into an uproar. Zhao Feng had the support of 2 judges at the same time. 3 people with the highest authority, and he had 2 of them. In this situation, even the head of the clan could not change the situation. How could this be? Zhao Tianjian's face turned green. Chapter 37. Alright, let's do as the 2 judges say, and allow Zhao Feng to participate in the martial gathering. The head of the family, Zhao Tiansong, looked at Zhao Feng with interest and made the final decision. The 2 judges and the patriarch voted unanimously, and the higher-ups of the clan had no more objections. This huge reversal caused Zhao Feng to be overjoyed, and for the first time, he felt a sense of belonging to the Zhao clan. In the corner, Zhao Tianjian was so angry that he was trembling. Until now, he still could not believe that Zhao Feng could come back alive. Grey Eagle's assassination plan actually failed. Zhao Tianjian immediately felt that something was wrong, but his heart could not accept this reality. With Grey Eagle's strength, and such a meticulous assassination plan, how could it fail? Zhao Feng. The judge said in a low voice, "You have received permission from the Patriarch to participate in the overall competition. Next, I will explain some rules to you." Yes. Zhao Feng listened carefully. With regards to the rules of the overall competition, Zhao Feng also had a rough idea. The martial gatherings overall competition implemented a challenge system. The first round was the quota challenge competition, where 50 outer disciples would challenge 50 fixed quota inner disciples, and if they won, they would obtain the corresponding ranking and quota. Every outer disciple only had 3 chances to challenge, and if they failed all 3 times, they would not be able to enter the inner disciples. Thus, every outer disciple had to weigh their own strength before challenging, and choose the weaker inner disciples. Zhao Feng, you were late for the competition, and delayed the progress of the martial gathering, so, you only have 1 chance in the quota challenge competition. The judge's voice was stern. Only 1 chance. Zhao Feng's expression did not change, and nodded, "I understand." With his strength as the number 1 outer disciple, no one doubted that he could fight his way into the inner disciples. Unless Zhao Feng overestimated himself, and used this only 1 chance to challenge the top 3, Zhao Linlong, Zhao Han and the others. Of course, Zhao Feng would not do such a stupid thing, and directly challenge such a strong opponent. Next, you can choose 1 person to challenge, and if you win, you can replace that person's position. The presiding judge reminded. All right. Zhao Feng leaped onto the stage and scanned the 50 people on the opposite side of the stage. 50 people, sitting on 50 chairs, arranged in order. On the top row, from left to right, were Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, Zhao Han, and Zhao Qin. The 10 people in the first row represented the top 10 inner disciples. In the second row, Zhao Feng saw Zhao Yufei at the 17th position. Zhao Yufei's eyes met his, and she smiled, looking a little expectant. The 2 of them were neighbors in the inner circle of the family. They sparred with each other from time to time and were relatively familiar with each other. Other than that, Zhao Yu, Zhao Yijian, Zhao Qian, and Zhao Guang were all in the 5th row. They were probably in the 40s to 50s. Other than Zhao Feng, there were 5 people in the outer layer who had charged into the inner layer. Who should he challenge? Zhao Feng smiled as he scanned the 50 disciples of the Zhao clan. Among them, Zhao Linlong, who was ranked first, had his eyes closed, as if he was comprehending something. It was as if the competition had nothing to do with him. He didn't need to worry about those who were ranked higher. However, some of the disciples at the bottom were a little worried. After all, Zhao Feng was the top disciple of the outer layer, and his cultivation had reached the 4th rank of the martial path. With such strength, he could at least be in the top 10 inner disciples. Second row, 6th, Zhao Feng's eyes were fixed on a disciple of the Zhao clan to the right of Zhao Yufei. Number 16, Zhao Fei. Please come out. The presiding judge said. Zhao Fei was 16 or 17 years old, and he had a strong body. Although he was only at the peak of the 3rd rank of the martial path, his aura was comparable to some of the 4th rank martial artists. Kid, don't think that you can beat me just because you've reached the 4th rank. Zhao Fei was very experienced. When he stepped onto the stage, his aura was calm and he didn't panic at all. TSK, Zhao Fei is a powerful figure in the outer layer. His cross-iron body has reached the peak of the 3rd rank, and he has beaten 2 martial artists barehanded. Zhao Feng might not be able to win against him so easily. Many of the disciples below the stage looked slightly interested. In terms of winning, Zhao Feng definitely had a higher chance of winning. However, his opponent was strong, and it would be hard for him to win easily. Iron Palm. Zhao Fei had only used a middle-ranked martial art, which was out of everyone's expectations. Whoosh! When Zhao Fei thrust out his palm, blood, and chi burst out from his palm, and the power was even stronger than some high-ranked martial arts. Peak level. Zhao Feng was slightly moved. In the outer layer, he was the only one who had trained a middle-ranked martial art to the peak level. However, this was the inner layer. What was more amazing was that Zhao Fei's iron palm and cross-iron body complemented each other, and they could unleash a terrifying power. Therefore, in terms of strength, this punch could easily beat Zhao Yijian's cold-flowing sword, which had reached a high level. Zhao Fei's strength is no weaker than a half-step martial artist. Some of the inner disciples nodded their heads in approval. Flaming metal fist. Zhao Feng slowly threw out a punch. This time, he used a fundamental fist technique. Not only that, he only threw out a simple punch without any inner strength. Many people were surprised by this scene. If he used a fundamental fist technique, Zhao Feng would lose to his opponent in terms of martial arts rank. If he didn't use inner strength, then his biggest advantage as a martial artist would be gone. Kid, you dare to be arrogant. A fierce glare shone in Zhao Fei's eyes. She sucked in a deep breath and pushed iron body training and iron palm to their limits. He didn't want to win against Zhao Feng, and he just wanted to exchange a few blows. But since his opponent was so arrogant, on the stage, the two figures quickly approached each other, and their fists and palms collided. Break! Zhao Fei's face was full of viciousness. But reality was cruel. Bang! Bang! The moment the fist and the palm collided, he felt an immense force that caused his entire arm to go numb in an almost barbaric manner. Ah! Zhao Fei screamed as cold sweat dripped from his forehead. He felt that Zhao Feng was as hard as an iron wall, as steady as Mount Tai, and as powerful as a bull. Bang! Before Zhao Fei knew what was going on, he was sent flying by a powerful force, and he couldn't get up for a long time. In one move, Zhao Feng defeated Zhao Fei. The expressions of many people in the audience changed. They were shocked and slightly surprised. No one was surprised that Zhao Feng could win, but the ease with which he defeated Zhao Feng in one move made people re-evaluate his strength. He didn't use inner strength, and only used fundamental fist techniques to win. Zhao Feng has also practiced a high-level body-strengthening martial art, and his rank is not low. Zhao Feng, challenge successful. Now, you are ranked 16th in the inner area. As for Zhao Fei, according to the rules, you have 3 more chances to challenge him. The judge announced. After defeating Zhao Fei, Zhao Feng calmly went to the opposite side of the stage. Zhao Feng sat on the 6th empty chair in the second row. At this moment, he was sitting on the 16th chair, and Zhao Yufei was sitting on the 17th seat next to him. Your metal wall technique is at least at the 3rd level. Zhao Yufei said in surprise. Zhao Feng had learned the metal wall technique from Zhao Yufei's grandfather. According to what Zhao Yufei knew, the metal wall technique was extremely difficult to learn, and her grandfather said that Zhao Feng could only reach the 2nd level before the finals. But from Zhao Feng's performance, he had at least reached the 3rd level. That's right. Zhao Feng smiled and didn't deny it. His metal wall technique had indeed reached the 3rd level, and it was at the peak of the 4th level. There was a huge difference between the 3rd and 4th level. Zhao Feng hadn't used his full strength when he fought against Zhao Fei. On the stage, the competition continued. According to the rules, Zhao Fei still had a chance to challenge someone else if she lost. Soon, Zhao Fei defeated another person and was ranked 26th. Due to Zhao Feng's sudden participation, the competition was slightly delayed. There were only 50 spots for the inner area, and 1 more had to be eliminated. Half an hour later, the 50 spots for the inner area changed slightly and were determined again. Zhao Feng and the other 5 outer disciples had successfully entered the inner area and became one of the inner disciples. The competition has ended. The judge let out a long breath and announced the next round. Now that the 50 spots for the inner area had been determined, it was time to compete for the rankings. According to the rumors, the top 20, top 10, and top 3 would all be rewarded handsomely. Especially the top 3, it was said that they would be rewarded with top-tier martial arts. This was something that Zhao Feng was interested in. It could be predicted that there would be intense competition for the top 20, top 10, and top 3. Furthermore, the ranking of the inner area was related to one's honor. The disciples present were all below 18, and they were full of youthful vigor and desire to win. The second round is the ranking competition. Each of the 50 inner disciples has 3 chances to challenge. Every time you fail, your chance will be reduced by 1, the judge announced the rules. The rules were clear. Those who were ranked lower would challenge those who were ranked higher. If they won, they would replace those who were ranked higher. Each person only had 3 chances to challenge. If they succeeded, their chances would not be reduced. If they failed, their chance would be reduced by 1. Understood. Everyone nodded. The ranking competition would start from the bottom to the top. Starting from the 50th place, however, it was already not bad for those who were ranked at the bottom to be able to retain their spots in the inner area. Therefore, there weren't many challengers between the 40th and 50th place. Even if there were a few challenges, they were all for the sake of ranking or to show off in the clan's martial gathering. The 40th place, the 39th place, the 38th place, the ranking of the challengers increased bit by bit. It wasn't until the 20th and 30th place that the challengers became more and more intense. Zhao Yu, Zhao Yijian, and the other 2 from the outer area all made it into the top 30. Among them, Zhao Yijian reached the 12th place and Zhao Yu reached the 15th place. All in all, the top 20 of the inner area were at least quasi-martial artists. As for Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei, because they were both martial artists, they weren't challenged even though they were in the top 20. In the entire inner area, there weren't more than 10 people who had reached the 4th rank of the martial path. To be exact, there were only 6 or 7 of them. This was also considering the rise of Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei. After the top 20 were confirmed, the next round of the competition for the top 10 began. Soon, it was Zhao Yufei's turn. Zhao Yufei was right behind Zhao Feng. After her challenge, it would be Zhao Feng's turn. In the top 10, there were quite a few who hadn't reached the martial artist realm. Zhao Yufei challenged the 6th place and easily won, entering the top 10. After entering the top 10, Zhao Yufei gave up on the challenge this round. This way, she still had 2 chances left for the next 2 rounds. 16th place. Zhao Feng, it's your turn. At this time, the judge reminded. This was only the beginning of the competition. The first round of confrontation between the martial artists was extremely exciting. This was especially true for Zhao Qing. He had infused his inner strength into his attack and could defeat any martial disciple. With his strength, even if he was besieged by 7 or 8 martial disciples, he could still win easily. The 2 fought for a long time, and in the end, Zhao Qing won. She had a high cultivation base and was proficient in martial arts. She used softness to overcome hardness, and her mind was calm. The 5th place Zhao Qing's challenge ended in failure, and his ranking remained unchanged. Next was the 4th place Zhao Qing's challenge. Looking at the top 3, Zhao Qing couldn't help but feel a little bitter. The top 3 were too strong, all of them were in the 5th rank of the martial path. However, it was not her style to admit defeat so easily. I challenge the 2nd place, Zhao Qi, Zhao Qin said. Zhao Qi had only reached the 5th rank recently, but his inner strength was not as strong as Zhao Han's. He. Zhao Qin, you know you will lose, but you still want to challenge me. Zhao Qi said lazily as he jumped onto the stage. On the stage, the 2 faced each other. Zhao Feng, who was ranked 16th, was slightly interested. He was about to see the strength of the top 3. Azure Cloud Finger. Zhao Qin's figure floated into the air, and a blue aura appeared on her finger. Although it seemed soft and weak, when it slashed through the air, a chi-chi sound could be heard. This finger skill of hers was a high-ranked martial art, and she had mastered it to the high level. This finger skill of hers is not bad. It's extremely concentrated, and it combines the flexibility of water and the hardness of ice. Zhao Feng's left eye could clearly see the profundity of Zhao Qin's finger skill. They were both high-level martial arts, but Zhao Qin's mastery of it was more profound than Zhao Yijian's, and the power was incomparable. "AI, you've only improved by this much." Zhao Qi's lazy voice sounded. Shua. An afterimage flashed, and Zhao Qin's finger attack missed. She knew that things were not looking good. So fast. She had underestimated Zhao Qi's strength. Zhao Qi's movement skill has reached the high level. Some of the disciples below exclaimed. Sky Howling Fist. Zhao Qi appeared from the back and threw a punch at him. He punched out, and a fiery red aura wrapped around his fist. As it moved, it let out a howl that sounded like thunder. Some of the inner disciples on the stage felt their eardrums vibrate, and their blood boiled. What a terrifying fist technique. I'm afraid this martial art is close to the top. It's no weaker than my iron wall technique. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. Dancing blue cloud. Zhao Qin exclaimed as she took Zhao Qi's attack head-on. Her clothes fluttered in the wind, and she flipped a few times in the air before landing on the ground. Her body swayed, and she almost puked out a mouthful of blood. With just one punch, Zhao Qin was forced into a corner. She used her softness to counter Zhao Qi's attack, and only then did she barely manage to escape. But this attack still caused some internal injuries to Zhao Qin. I'll just treat it as a warm-up. Zhao Qi casually attacked again. What he did next made the disciples' hearts skip a beat. High-ranked movement skill, high-ranked movement skill, high-ranked inner force skill, high-ranked body skill. Zhao Qi displayed his techniques one after another. He had trained many high-ranked martial arts, and most of them had reached the high level. He had even trained his body skill to the 4th level, making him invulnerable. There are no obvious flaws, and there are no obvious flaws. Furthermore, his Sky Howling Fist is close to a peak-ranked martial art. Zhao Feng was secretly surprised. This was a tough opponent. No wonder Zhao Qi looked down on him at the end of the outer disciple sparring session. With Zhao Feng's strength, he wouldn't even last 3 moves against Zhao Qi on the stage. The battle between Zhao Qi and Zhao Qin was like child's play. After exchanging 20 moves, Zhao Qin was gasping for breath as she was exhausted. She took the initiative to leave the ring and smiled bitterly. I admit defeat. Zhao Qi knew that she could only last 20 moves because Zhao Qi was going easy on her. If Zhao Qi used his full strength, she wouldn't even last 3 moves. None of you have the right to fight for the top 3. Zhao Qi said casually as he glanced at Zhao Feng, who was ranked 16th. Zhao Feng felt as if he had been seen through. How did he know that he wanted to fight for the top 3? From the current situation, 4th place Zhao Qin and 5th place Zhao Ling had both given up. 6th place Zhao Yufei didn't seem to have any intention of fighting for the top 3 either. After Zhao Qin's challenge ended, it was Zhao Han's turn. Zhao Han. Zhao Han. Voices came from below the stage. It was hard to imagine how popular Zhao Han was. Zhao Han is one of the most popular candidates for the top spot. I heard that he had a fortuitous encounter and his strength increased greatly. He has the highest chance of beating Zhao Linlong. Zhao Han's appearance had ignited the passion of the martial meet to a new peak. Even Zhao Qi, who was ranked 2nd, looked at him with a serious expression. Of the 50 inner disciples, only 1st place Zhao Linlong had a calm expression. Zhao Han stood on the stage and his eyes scanned past Zhao Linlong and Zhao Qi. He was ranked 3rd, and there were only 2 people ranked above him. Would it be Zhao Linlong or Zhao Qi? Many disciples of the Zhao clan were looking forward to it. Whether it was Zhao Han challenging Zhao Linlong or Zhao Qi, it would be an exciting battle. However, something unexpected happened. Zhao Han's eyes scanned past Zhao Linlong and Zhao Qi before he turned to look at the second row. Ah! The disciples of the Zhao clan in the second row were terrified. The first row was for the top 10 and the second row was for the 11th to 20th. The person I want to challenge is the 6th person in the second row. Zhao Han's eyes were cold and domineering as his voice sent chills down everyone's spine. The 6th person in the second row. Zhao Han wasn't challenging the top 3 or even the top 10. He was challenging the top 20. The 6th person in the second row. Who was that unlucky bastard? Everyone's gazes shifted to that location, and their expressions changed slightly. Me? Zhao Feng was shocked. That's right. The person Zhao Han was challenging was him. Zhao Han, are you sure you want to do this? The judge frowned and said in a low voice, if a person with a higher rank challenges a person with a lower rank and loses, your rank will be taken by your opponent. Even if you win, it won't do you any good. Instead, it will be a waste of a chance. According to the rules of the competition, a person with a higher rank could challenge a person with a lower rank. However, there were no benefits to doing this. Instead, it would be disadvantageous. I'm sure. Zhao Han's eyes locked onto Zhao Feng and a hint of killing intent flashed through them. A few of the inner disciples had a look of understanding on their faces. Many people knew that Zhao Han was Zhao Yijian's cousin and they had a good relationship since they were young. Zhao Yijian, who was ranked 12th, immediately looked at Zhao Han with gratitude. He then looked at Zhao Feng with hatred and unwillingness. What's wrong, Zhao Feng? As the top disciple of the outer disciples and a martial artist genius, don't you have the courage to fight? Zhao Han stood on the challenge stage and mocked him. What's there to be afraid of? Zhao Feng's expression was calm as he leaped onto the challenge stage. Although he expected to fight Zhao Han, he didn't expect him to be so eager. I'll break one of his arms later and settle this small matter. Then, I'll challenge Zhao Linlong. Zhao Han calculated in his heart. At this moment, there was a slight commotion in the crowd as people discussed among themselves. Zhao Han is challenging Zhao Feng, who is ranked lower than him. It's obvious that he wants to take revenge for his cousin, Zhao Yijian. Zhao Feng is so unlucky. Although he's powerful, Zhao Han had a fortuitous encounter recently and his strength has skyrocketed. He's still a popular candidate for first place. Most of the disciples didn't think highly of Zhao Feng. Their eyes were filled with pity, or gloating. Although Zhao Feng was ranked first in the outer disciples and was a martial artist, there was still a huge gap between him and Zhao Han, who was ranked first or second in the inner disciples. Chapter 39. On the stage. Two martial disciple geniuses faced each other. One was the black horse, Zhao Feng, who had swept the outer disciples, while the other was one of the top inner disciples, Zhao Han. The crowd quietened down. Towards this battle, no one felt that there was much suspense, but they were still excited. Who? Zhao Han's face was cold, and the inner strength in his body started to move, emitting a strange cold pressure that created a formless cold wind in the surroundings. Even from a few yards away, Zhao Feng felt a coldness envelop his body. This wasn't an illusion, it was the true coldness that came from the inner strength in Zhao Han's body. What a strong inner strength, and it even contains a special element. It's even stronger than some peak 5th ranks. Some of the higher-ups of the Zhao clan exclaimed. Indeed. The inner strength in Zhao Han's body was too shocking. That day when he fought with the 3rd-ranked Xian Tong of the Xian family, Zhao Han had used this huge advantage to win in one move. At that time, Zhao Han's strength had seeped into their hearts. Today, Zhao Han's control over the inner strength had far surpassed the last time, and his aura had become even more terrifying. Zhao Han, this kid, had a fortuitous encounter a few months ago, and he absorbed the power of a mysterious ice shard, allowing his inner strength to break through. An elder of the higher-ups smiled as he explained. So it's like that, but fortuitous encounters can't be forced. The elders of the higher-ups nodded their heads. The Green Flower continent was boundless and had existed for thousands of years, leaving behind countless mysteries and ruins. The beings that lived on this continent all had fortuitous encounters, and one day they would soar into the sky. Without a doubt, Zhao Han was one of these lucky people. In this half a year, he had relied on his fortuitous encounters to increase his cultivation and strength, and he now had the qualifications to become first in the inner disciples. Zhao Feng, I'll give you 3 moves. Zhao Han looked down from above, and the coldness in his voice seemed to have merged with his inner strength. Just a few words were enough to cause others to tremble. 3 moves. The crowd did not think that he was arrogant. Instead, they thought that it was only natural. After all, Zhao Han's ranking was way higher than Zhao Feng's. If he did this, he would not be criticized for bullying the weak after he won. Ha ha ha. 3 moves. Zhao Han. Is that all you've got? Instead, I can give you 10 moves. Zhao Feng let out a long laugh. He was unexpectedly domineering as he retorted sarcastically. 10 moves. The crowd was in an uproar. They looked at Zhao Feng as if they were looking at a monster. Not only did Zhao Feng not want Zhao Han to let him have 3 moves, he even took the initiative to let him have 10 moves. This counterattack, at least in terms of momentum, was not the slightest bit weaker. In fact, it was even slightly stronger. After the uproar, the hall returned to silence. He must be joking. He must have said it out of anger. You can't take it seriously. Someone shook his head. He's going to lose anyway. What's the difference if I let him have 10 moves? 10 moves. Zhao Han's face turned green and his eyebrows twitched. His chest was burning with anger and his words were bone-chilling. You're asking to be humiliated. Whoosh. Before he finished his sentence, a cold aura rose from his arms and shoulders. It was like frost in winter, giving off an oppressive coldness. Many of the 48 inner disciples sitting across from him shuddered at the sight of this. Zhao Han snorted and a layer of frost appeared on his palm. It was like a heavy ice blade as he slashed towards Zhao Feng. With his cultivation of the 5th stage of the martial path and his powerful inner strength, Zhao Han's palm could shock anyone in the 4th stage of the martial path. First move. Good. Zhao Feng exclaimed. He didn't attack, but he circulated his air-crossing art and metal wall technique. 2 figures, one attacking and one defending, clashed. Pa! Zhao Han's palm landed on Zhao Feng. The latter squatted down and twisted his arm, successfully blocking the cold palm. In an instant, the 2 inner forces collided with one another. Tang! 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 One of the figures retreated a few steps, followed by a surprised and angry shout. What's going on? The disciples of the Zhao clan were stunned. Because the figure that was retreating pathetically was Zhao Han. Zhao Han retreated a few meters and stabilized himself. His face was gloomy. His arm went numb and he couldn't help but exclaim, how can he have such terrifying strength? 10 days ago, Zhao Han had fought with Xian Tong. Xian Tong's body-strengthening technique was powerful and could almost threaten him. But compared to Zhao Feng, the Xian Tong of that day paled in comparison. Hee, you're not the only one in this world who has a fortuitous encounter. A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face as he released a sharp yet agile inner strength. The inner strength had even broken through the 4th rank of the martial path and reached the 5th rank of the martial path. The most important thing was that Zhao Feng's inner strength was extremely condensed, unlike Zhao Han's which relied on quantity to win. Inner strength of the 5th rank of the martial path. The elders on the spectators' stand were shocked. Zhao Feng's cultivation level was at the peak of the 4th rank, but his inner strength had reached the 5th rank. His body-strengthening technique is extremely powerful. I'm afraid it has surpassed all the inner disciples of the clan. The white-bearded judge had a smile on his face. It turned out that supporting Zhao Feng was the right choice. I can feel the aura of a treasure on him. It looks like he has had some luck recently. Zhao Tiansung said with his eyes squinted. Kid. I only used half of my strength just then. Zhao Han's eyes were cold and he was a little angry. Cold snow palm. Zhao Han's figure floated over and he slowly thrust his palm forward. Although the palm seemed slow, it contained an even more powerful inner strength. Before the attack even reached its target, the coldness had already caused the opponent's blood to freeze. The second move. Zhao Feng calmly circulated his air-crossing breathing technique and metal wall technique to block Zhao Han's attack. Bam! A low rumbling sound could be heard in front of the two. When the inner strength of the martial path collided, a ring-shaped wave of air swept out 4 to 5 meters, enough to injure a martial disciple. After the second clash, Zhao Han took a few steps back, and his arm was numb. After pushing Zhao Han back, Zhao Feng also felt a cold inner strength enter his body. However, after reaching the 4th rank of the metal wall technique, not only did his body become like an iron wall, but it also increased his resistance against inner strength. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's air-crossing breathing technique was not to be trifled with. He also had the cultivation of the 5th rank of the martial path. This is impossible. Savagery appeared on Zhao Han's face as he furiously circulated his inner strength and leapt towards Zhao Feng. But in his eyes, Zhao Feng was like a steel wall, unmoving and unmoving. No matter how hard he attacked, Zhao Feng's iron wall was unbreakable. Zhao Han was pushed back again and again. What a strong body. This level of defense is probably the strongest among the inner disciples. The disciples of the Zhao clan were all stunned. The second move, the third move, the fourth move, every time Zhao Feng blocked an attack, he would give Zhao Han a warning, which put a lot of pressure on him. That's right. Since the beginning of the battle, he had only been defending and had not attacked. Oh my god, is he really going to give Zhao Han 10 moves? That's right, it's already been 5 moves, and he hasn't attacked yet. The crowd was in an uproar. On the chair, Zhao Yijian, who was ranked 12th, looked pale. How can this be? When did his strength increase to such a level? Miracle? Why can't it be me? Not only is he not dead, but he also has a miracle. Zhao Tianjian's face was green, and he almost exploded in anger. He had hired someone to assassinate Zhao Feng, but instead, he had helped the enemy advance by leaps and bounds. This was truly a case of going for wool and pecking the rice instead. His defense is like an iron wall, and he can even defend against inner force attacks. He has at least reached the 4th level of the iron wall technique. Zhao Yufei's face was full of shock. She couldn't believe her eyes. Even if she told her grandfather this, he wouldn't believe it. The iron wall technique that Zhao Feng cultivated was from her. Zhao Yufei knew the power and difficulty of this martial art. The 5th move, the 6th move, the 7th move, Zhao Han's attacks became more and more frenzied. In the end, his eyes were filled with chaos, and he bit his lips until they bled. However, every attack made the skin between his thumb and forefinger split, and blood flowed out. Not only did he not hurt Zhao Feng, but he was also injured. The 9th move, the 10th move. Zhao Feng's voice suddenly became louder. Zhao Han. 10 moves have passed. Your strength is getting weaker and weaker. How disappointing. His voice was like a nightmare, and it made Zhao Han's body shake. 10 moves had passed. Zhao Feng wasn't joking. He said he would let you have 10 moves, and he meant it. He meant it. This scene shocked many of the Zhao clan's disciples and elders. It could be expected that after 10 moves, Zhao Feng wouldn't be on the defensive. Angry Dragon Fist. A ball of green aura appeared in Zhao Feng's palm. It was like an illusionary flame, and it whistled like a dragon. He had executed the angry dragon fists that had almost surpassed the consummate realm. Now, Zhao Feng's angry dragon fist was about to break through the original style, and it had the elegance of the air-crossing manual. Pa! The elegant fist hit Zhao Han's weak point, and the moment it hit its target, it exploded with a power like the roar of an angry dragon. Wah! Zhao Han spat out a mouthful of blood, and he took a few steps back. His arm was almost broken. But at this moment, he had completely lost his mind, and he roared as he counterattacked. But the more he fought back, the more weak points he had. In Zhao Feng's eyes, his opponent was like a child waving a stick. When Zhao Han was at his peak, Zhao Feng thought that he could be on par with Zhao Qi, or even slightly stronger. But now that he had lost his mind, he was no longer a threat. I don't believe it, lose. After being defeated again and again, Zhao Han became more and more frenzied. He only used his inner strength without any technique. Soon, Zhao Feng dodged Zhao Han's attack, and he kicked Zhao Han's stomach. Bang! Zhao Han's body flew tens of meters through the air, and he fell flat on his face. I don't believe it. Zhao Han struggled to get up, and he wanted to counterattack. Judge, hurry up and announce that he has lost. Zhao Feng frowned and reminded the judge. Ah! Only then did the judge wake up, and he announced, Zhao Han has lost the challenge. The challenged Zhao Feng will take the third place. Third place? A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. His goal was to enter the top 3 of the inner disciples, and he had achieved it. Chapter 40. As the judge announced the result, the disciples of the Zhao clan started to discuss among themselves. The battle between Zhao Han and Zhao Feng was a huge upset. As the black horse of the outer disciples, Zhao Feng continued to create miracles and set new records. Ever since the start of the martial meeting, he had overcome all obstacles and defeated many youths of the same clan, rising up miraculously. Now, he had defeated Zhao Han, who was ranked first in the inner disciples, and was now ranked third. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face as he sat down on the third seat in the first row. To his right was Zhao Qi, who was ranked second. His face was filled with shock and suspicion. When the outer disciples' competition had ended, Zhao Qi had come to watch. Facing the first-ranked outer disciple, Zhao Feng, he did not take him seriously at all. After Zhao Qi had defeated Zhao Qin, he had pointed out Zhao Feng's ambition and warned him that no one else had the right to interfere with the top 3. However, at this moment, Zhao Feng, who he did not think highly of, was sitting right next to him. Top 3, Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, and Zhao Feng. Next, it was Zhao Qi's turn. Zhao Qi lazily stretched his waist and walked onto the stage. Zhao Qi, who are you going to challenge? There was a smile in the presiding judge's eyes, and he looked a little mischievous. As the second ranked, who else could he challenge? All the disciples of the Zhao clan looked at Zhao Linlong. Zhao Feng was sitting third. After Zhao Qi left, his sight was unobstructed and he sized up Zhao Linlong for the first time. Zhao Linlong was wearing a golden robe. His body was straight and his eyebrows were black. He had an aura that was as deep as the ocean. Since the start of the competition, Zhao Linlong had closed his eyes most of the time. His face was expressionless. Even when Zhao Feng defeated Zhao Han, he was as calm as usual, as if he was a bystander who had nothing to do with it. Zhao Linlong, give me some face and come up. Zhao Feng's frivolous manner carried a hint of self-mockery. First place, Zhao Linlong. The presiding judge reminded. Yes. Zhao Linlong got up slowly. The moment he stood up, a golden afterimage flashed. After that, a few afterimages flashed with strange and unfathomable trajectories before descending onto the arena. Why are there so many Zhao Linlong? Afterimage. So fast. The audience cried out in alarm. Many of the spectators couldn't see Zhao Linlong's figure clearly. What kind of footwork is that? It's so strange and mysterious. Zhao Feng's eyebrows twitched slightly. Even though his left eye could clearly see Zhao Linlong's trajectory, he couldn't see through the changes, let alone the flaws. Zhao Linlong, I haven't seen you in half a year, and your shadow step has reached its peak. No wonder you are one of the top 4 geniuses of Sun Feather City. Zhao Qi was shocked. Shadow step was a high-ranked movement skill. It was one of a kind amongst the high-ranked martial arts. Who would have thought that there would be someone in the Zhao clan who had trained this high-ranked martial art to its peak? A high-ranked martial art at its peak. Many of the Zhao clan's disciples could only look up to him. In the entire Zhao clan, there wouldn't be a second genius who could train a high-ranked martial art to its peak. Zhao Qi, your comprehension isn't bad. You're the only one who has the right to fight me. Today, I will fight you with my cultivation of the 4th rank. Zhao Linlong said casually. As these words came out, many of the Zhao clan's disciples had ugly expressions. Apart from Zhao Qi, there wasn't anyone else who had the right to be his opponent. Zhao Linlong's words were a little hurtful, causing many to be unhappy. How could the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place geniuses of the Zhao clan endure this? Zhao Feng, who was ranked 3rd, slightly furrowed his eyebrows, but soon recovered his composure. Ever since he had seen the mysterious girl in the sky cloud forest, Zhao Feng had understood how vast the world was. There was always someone better than you. His ambition had become even greater, and he no longer wanted to stay in Sun Feather City. He wanted to explore the outside world. Damn it! This Zhao Linlong. Zhao Han, who was ranked 16th, had a face full of hatred and unwillingness. Not long ago, he had had a fortuitous encounter which caused his cultivation to skyrocket. His inner strength had reached the peak of the 5th rank, and he was even close to reaching the 6th rank. This sudden increase in strength made him, who was originally ranked 3rd, instantly become one of the top contenders for the number 1 position in the Zhao clan. In terms of fame, he even surpassed Zhao Qi, who was ranked 2nd. However, with Zhao Linlong's words, he felt as if he had been thrown into a freezer. However, Zhao Han couldn't retaliate. He had just lost to Zhao Feng, so he had no right to speak. At this moment, the battle on the stage began. Heaven Howling Fist. Zhao Qi's fist was surrounded by a fiery red aura, and the sound of it was like thunder colliding. In terms of style, Heaven Howling Fist was similar to Zhao Feng's Angry Dragon Fists. However, the difference between the two was an entire level. One was at the peak of the high rank, while the other was at the peak of the intermediate rank. Zhao Qi's Heaven Howling Fist was as powerful as a peak of the 5th rank. Adding on the fact that he had trained his movement skills, body strengthening skills, and movement skills to a high level, the damage he could deal was even more terrifying. In terms of overall strength, Zhao Qi is indeed harder to deal with than Zhao Han. He doesn't seem to have any weaknesses, and his attacks are also very strong. Zhao Feng nodded his head. The power of this punch surpassed any of the Zhao clan's disciples, and it became Zhao Qi's strongest punch in his life. However, as the fist flew out, Zhao Qi felt like he couldn't breathe. Zhao Qi's finger seemed to be standing on a higher ground. It was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. Boom, the two shocking moves clashed with each other. Zhao Qi felt a sweetness in his throat and blood dripped down from the corner of his mouth. Not bad. You managed to take a hit from a peak-ranked martial art. At his side, a young man in a golden robe stood with his hands behind his back, and he seemed like a monarch amidst the strands of strong gales. Peak-ranked martial art. It's not a shame that I lost. Zhao Qi admitted defeat with a bitter expression on his face. Spatial Cloud Finger. Peak-ranked martial art. Countless disciples of the Zhao clan, including some elders of the Zhao clan, were shocked. When did Zhao Linlong learn a peak-ranked martial art? Haha, Linlong has already learned the first 3 moves of Spatial Cloud Finger. That was only the first move. Zhao Tiansong's face was red. Congratulations to the head of the family for taking in such a talented godson. The elders of the Zhao clan all nodded their heads. So, Zhao Linlong was the godson of the head of the family. What was even more amazing was that he had learned the first few moves of a peak-ranked martial art. One had to be at least at the 7th rank of the martial path to learn a peak-ranked martial art. Those who could learn a peak-ranked martial art were usually martial masters. Zhao Han. You have failed, but your ranking remains the same. Zhao Linlong, 1st place, remains the same. The judge announced. The 1st and 2nd places' rankings remained the same. Zhao Linlong and Zhao Qi both returned to their seats in front of Zhao Feng. Zhao Linlong returned to his seat expressionlessly and did not challenge anyone. In his eyes, there was no one else in the Zhao clan that he could challenge. Just like that, the first round of challenges ended. Next was the second round of challenges. Everyone had 3 chances at the beginning. There were very few challengers in the second round. This was because the rankings had been decided in the first round. However, when it came to the 16th place, Zhao Han, he challenged Zhao Qin and won the 4th place. Then, Zhao Han challenged Zhao Qi and Zhao Linlong. In the end, Zhao Han used his inner strength to fight Zhao Qi to a draw and his ranking remained the same. However, when his opponent was Zhao Linlong, Zhao Han was defeated in 3 moves. He wasn't like Zhao Qi, who didn't have any weaknesses. Therefore, in front of an expert like Zhao Linlong, he didn't even last 3 moves. 1st place Zhao Linlong. 2nd place Zhao Qi. 3rd place Zhao Feng. 4th place Zhao Han. The top 4 inner disciples were the 4 giants of the Zhao sect and no one could challenge them. Among the 4 giants, Zhao Linlong was far ahead of them. He had defeated Zhao Qi and Zhao Han in succession. Among the 4 giants, only Zhao Feng did not fight with Zhao Linlong. 3rd place Zhao Feng, it's your turn. The judge announced. Chapter 41. It's my turn again. Zhao Feng rubbed his chin as he sat on the 3rd seat. The only people in front of him were Zhao Qi and Zhao Linlong. It would take some effort to beat Zhao Qi, but he was confident that he could. If he challenged Zhao Linlong, Zhao Feng would definitely reveal his true power. Recently, his cultivation had been improving too fast. If he revealed his true power, it would attract too much attention. Zhao Feng had to hold back to defend himself against Zhao Tianjian and the others. Furthermore, Zhao Feng was not confident that he could win against a top-ranked martial art. I give up. After weighing the pros and cons, Zhao Feng decided to give up. His goal was to get into the top 3 and get his hands on a top-ranked martial art. Now that he had achieved his goal, there was no need for him to risk his life. Zhao Feng's decision to give up shocked many people, but they did not find it strange. After all, with Zhao Feng's cultivation, it was already a good result for him to be in the top 3. I give up too. Zhao Qi looked at Zhao Feng. In the first round, he had seen the battle between Zhao Feng and Zhao Han. Zhao Feng's strength was only slightly above his, and he might be able to compete with Zhao Linlong. The 3rd and 2nd places gave up. Zhao Linlong did not think that he had a worthy opponent, so he did not issue a challenge. Just like that, the 2nd round ended abruptly. Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, Zhao Feng, Zhao Han, Zhao Qin, Zhao Yufei, Zhao Qing, the top 7 were all martial artists. The rankings were basically set. This is the last round. Everyone has one last chance. The judge announced. After the 2nd round, there were not many people who wanted to challenge in the 3rd round. However, when it came to Zhao Yufei's turn, there was a small twist. I challenged Zhao Qin. Zhao Yufei's beautiful eyes were as clear as crystal, with a trace of a mischievous smile. Her challenge surprised many people. All right. Zhao Qin nodded and went on stage. Soon, the two beauties faced each other on the stage. Whether it was Zhao Qin or Zhao Yufei, both of them were prettier than ordinary girls. What was even rarer was that both of them were gifted. When the two girls went up the stage, the hearts of many youths couldn't help but quicken. It was not hard to imagine that these two girls were the dream lovers of countless young men of the Zhao clan. The special comparison was Zhao Yufei. She was younger than Zhao Yufei. She was charming, elegant, and pure. Her beauty far surpassed that of ordinary beauties. Zhao Linlong's eyes lit up as he was attracted by Zhao Yufei. Azure cloud finger. Butterfly leaf palm. The two girls shouted. Their graceful figures intertwined with each other in a pleasing manner, dancing in the air or turning around. For a long time, Zhao Qin was the #1 girl in the Zhao clan. Her cultivation was close to the peak of the 4th rank, and she was older than Zhao Yufei. In the entire Zhao clan ranking competition, Zhao Linlong was above everyone else. No one was worthy of his attention and he was as cold and calm as usual. Until he noticed Zhao Yufei, the coldness and arrogance in his eyes slowly melted. This was something that he had never experienced in his 17 years of life. That's right, it was the feeling of his heart beating faster. After Zhao Yufei finished her challenge, it was Zhao Han's turn. Zhao Han looked at Zhao Feng, Zhao Qi, and Zhao Han and felt helpless. Zhao Linlong had no chance of getting into the top 3. Zhao Feng. He had suffered a lot and knew how terrifying his opponent was. His real strength might be able to challenge Zhao Linlong. As for Zhao Qi, he could only fight to a draw and not shake Zhao Linlong's ranking. I give up. Zhao Han felt helpless and regretful. If he hadn't challenged Zhao Feng first, he would have been in the top 3 and Zhao Qi would have been in 4th place. I give up. Zhao Feng's voice was still the same. I give up too. Zhao Qi was not interested. The competition is over. Zhao Linlong faintly smiled and glanced at Zhao Yufei who was not far away. He didn't know why, but the more he looked at her, the more he liked her. Zhao Yufei felt his burning gaze and felt a little uncomfortable. She subconsciously avoided his gaze. This year's clan competition is over. The rankings and prizes will be announced later. The judge said. After a while, the ranking of the inner disciples came out. First, Zhao Linlong 2nd, Zhao Qi 3rd, Zhao Feng 4th, Zhao Han 5th, Zhao Yufei 6th, Zhao Qin 7th, Zhao Qing. After the competition ended, those who were ranked at the top were secretly looking forward to it. According to the usual practice, the top 20, top 10, and top 3 of the clan martial meet would all receive additional rewards. Now, the patriarch will announce the reward. The referee said. Patriarch. A wave of cheers erupted in the arena. In the spectator stand, a scholarly and dignified middle-aged man stood up. He raised his hands slightly, and a formless pressure spread out. He was the family head, Zhao Tiansang. Zhao Feng felt that the patriarch's aura was close to the high-rank beasts in the sky cloud forest. He was obviously a martial master above the 7th rank of the martial path. Zhao Tiansang looked down at the 50 inner disciples one by one. Especially when her gaze fell on Zhao Linlong, it was unusually gentle. Many people knew that Zhao Linlong was the adopted son of the patriarch. Let me announce the reward. Anyone who becomes an inner disciple can enter the Xuanwu Pavilion on the 2nd floor, choose a high-ranked martial art, and be rewarded with a 300-year-old blood ginseng. As for the rewards for inner disciples, it was basically the same as the rumors. The top 20 can choose 2 high-ranked martial arts, and be rewarded with 2 300-year-old blood ginseng. The top 10 can choose 2 high-ranked martial arts, and be rewarded with 1 500-year-old blood ginseng. As he said this, the patriarch slightly paused. Many of the inner disciples were slightly happy. After all, most of them were still martial disciples, and only a few of them came from wealthy families. Top 3. You can choose 1 peak-ranked martial art, and 2 high-ranked martial arts. Furthermore, you will be rewarded with a blood pill. The patriarch said with a smile. Peak-ranked martial art. Blood pill. The rewards for the top 3 far exceeded the rewards for the previous Zhao clan disciples. Zhao Feng couldn't help but be overjoyed. Peak-ranked martial arts were exactly what he was looking forward to. And the value of the blood pill exceeded the 500-year-old blood ginseng, which could increase a martial artist's cultivation. Just like this, the clan martial meet's rewards were announced. The 50 Zhao clan disciples, under the guidance of the patriarch, went to the warehouse to receive their rewards. On the same day, Zhao Feng received a blood pill. As for the peak-ranked martial arts and the 2 high-ranked martial arts, Zhao Feng received a special badge, which allowed him to go to the martial arts library at any time. I heard that the first place will have a special reward. Why not this year? Maybe it hasn't been announced yet. On the way back, Zhao Feng heard some discussions. He didn't pay attention to them and went home. Brother Zhao Feng. A sweet and gentle voice of a young girl was heard, with a hint of joy in it. Zhao Feng didn't need to turn his head to know that it was Xiao Yufei. After moving into the inner area, the 2 families were neighbors, and they were more familiar with each other. Especially after the metal wall technique trade, the 2 of them had become closer. Yufei, your performance was not bad. Zhao Feng thought of Xiao Yufei defeating Zhao Qin, and he couldn't help but praise. Compared to brother Zhao Feng, the difference is too big. But I'm curious, why didn't you challenge Xiao Linlong? As Xiao Yufei spoke, her clear eyes were filled with curiosity. She was sure that Zhao Feng's metal wall technique had reached the peak of the 4th level, and his defense and physical strength were the best among the inner disciples. Adding on the fact that Zhao Feng's inner force had reached the 5th level, and he had mastered the air crossing and lightly floating fairy, he definitely had the right to challenge Xiao Linlong. Yufei, you overestimated me. There is still a gap between me and Xiao Linlong. Zhao Feng shook his head and said humbly. It was obvious that among all the outer disciples, Xiao Yufei's estimation of his strength was the closest to the truth. The 2 of them were of the same age, and they chatted and laughed. On the other side of the stage, Xiao Linlong, who was wearing a loose golden robe, watched as Zhao Feng and Xiao Yufei left. His face darkened, and a hint of sharpness flashed in his eyes. He mumbled to himself, that kid's name is Zhao Feng, right? Chapter 42. As Zhao Feng and Xiao Yufei walked back, many of the Zhao clan's disciples looked at them with envy, jealousy, and a hint of ambiguity. Xiao Yufei's jade-like face couldn't help but turn slightly red. She snuck a glance at Zhao Feng with her clear eyes and found that he was as calm as usual, and he even seemed to be slightly absent-minded. This made her feel slightly disappointed and defeated. However, among the youths of the same age in the Zhao clan, only Zhao Feng was able to suppress her. This made Xiao Yufei feel helpless. Back home, Zhao Feng told his father, Zhao Tianyang, about what happened in the sky cloud forest. Of course, he left out the part where he was assassinated by Zhao Tianjian and the danger of encountering a high-tier deadly beast. Even so, Zhao Tianyang's heart trembled when he heard it, and he secretly broke out in a cold sweat. Back in his room, Zhao Feng let out a long breath and mumbled, Zhao Tianjian's assassination failed, so he probably won't let it go so easily. I'll hide my strength and wait for an opportunity. This was also the reason why he didn't challenge Xiao Linlong this time. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and merged his consciousness into the dimension of his left eye to search for something else. In the pitch-black dimension, the faint green halo was 5 feet 8-9 inches long. It could be seen that Zhao Feng's cultivation level was at the peak of the 5th rank. Zhao Feng's focus wasn't on this. Show yourself. Zhao Feng focused and subconsciously opened his left eye. Shush! The faint green halo suddenly disappeared and a scene appeared in the pitch-black dimension. In the scene, there were 2 figures, one big and one small. One was a high-tier deadly beast, the green-eyed giant wolf, the other was a young girl, who didn't look much older than Zhao Yufei. Then, a shocking scene appeared in the scene. The green-eyed wolf and the young girl leaped up at almost the same time, and the two figures crossed each other at lightning speed. The young girl was graceful, and she seemed to have fused into an unfathomable force of the heavens and the earth, causing her to seem magnificent and natural. Her body glowed with a strange green light, which was 10 times more dazzling than a martial artist's inner strength. Along with her delicate body and the strange posture of her jade-like hands, the green light blended into the natural momentum from before. With a light palm strike, the green light transformed into a sharp whirlwind, exploding with unimaginable power, instantly tearing the head of the green-eyed giant wolf into pieces. The power was beyond the limits of a human's strength. What is the background of that young girl? In the entire Sun Feather City, I'm afraid no one would be able to take this attack from her. Zhao Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. In the pitch-black space, that scene replayed over and over again. Zhao Feng focused his mind. He could observe the details of the young girl's movements from different angles and directions. Gradually, he seemed to understand. The seemingly casual attack of the young girl contained many mysteries that far surpassed the level of a martial artist. As Zhao Feng tried to comprehend it again and again, he already had some gains. At this point, he could basically mimic the moves of the young girl and learn a little bit of it. Even if it was just a little bit of it, the move that Zhao Feng mimicked was comparable to an attack from a high-ranked martial artist. This made him extremely happy. If he could learn the essence of the young girl's move, wouldn't it surpass normal peak-ranked martial arts? Thinking about that, Zhao Feng became even more excited. Why don't I name this move, Mysterious Wind Palm? That night, Zhao Feng tried to comprehend that move again and again. Mysterious Wind Palm, similar to Whirlwind Palm, had the meaning of whirlwind palm. Because this palm was extremely profound, Zhao Feng wouldn't be able to comprehend it in a short period of time, therefore it was named Mysterious Wind Palm. Until late at night, Zhao Feng suddenly felt tired. It turned out that the dimension of his left eye didn't allow him to comprehend without a limit. When he stopped, the light green spiral halo reappeared. Its length remained the same, but it had become much dimmer. Using this method to comprehend will consume my mental energy, Zhao Feng concluded. So he started to practice the air-crossing breathing technique again. After coming back from the competition today, Zhao Feng received a blood pill, which could increase one's cultivation level. Pills were not like rare treasures, they contained a lot of toxins, but they were purer and more suitable to be absorbed. I still have 3,000-year-old herbs, their value is even higher than the blood pill. Zhao Feng thought for a bit, then swallowed the blood pill. Soon, the power of the blood pill started to take effect in his body, creating a flow of energy that was very close to the blood and inner strength of the human body. Zhao Feng immediately started to use the air-crossing breathing technique to absorb the energy of the pill. Because his inner strength had reached the peak of the 5th rank, which was slightly higher than his actual cultivation level, it was very easy for him to absorb the energy of the pill. The next morning, Zhao Feng had basically finished absorbing the energy of the blood pill, and he felt that his body and inner strength had increased again. Closing his eyes, the faint green light in the dimension of his left eye extended to 5 feet 9 inches. Peak of the 5th rank. The effect of this blood pill is not bad. Zhao Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. With the cultivation of the peak of the 5th rank, among the younger generation of the Zhao clan, only Zhao Linlong was on par with him. It was still early, so Zhao Feng was trying out the mysterious wind palm that he had learned last night. Tang! His figure suddenly leaped into the air, and a pale green aura surged on the surface of his body. It rapidly rotated and condensed in the palm of his hand, following a strange trajectory, and slowly chopped. Puchi! A tree branch that was as thick as an arm was instantly shattered into pieces. Zhao Feng's palm wasn't very fierce, and it didn't use brute force to shatter the tree branch. Instead, it contained a rotating and slicing power. Strange indeed. The power of this move is close to high-rank martial arts. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Just as Zhao Feng was trying his best to learn the mysterious wind palm. "Brother Feng, can I come in?" A familiar feminine voice could be heard. Zhao Feng paused for a second, then his eyebrows furrowed. Outside of the courtyard, a girl in a white robe bit her lips, not daring to look at Zhao Feng. The person was none other than Zhao Shui. "Come in." Zhao Feng's expression returned to normal, and he let Zhao Shui in. The two looked at each other for a while. Zhao Shui wanted to say something but stopped. Her bright eyes avoided his as if she was too shy to speak. "What are you doing here?" Zhao Feng's face was expressionless. As for Zhao Shui, he only had a good impression of her when he was a kid. Ever since he entered the Zhao clan, the little bit of good impression he had of her had vanished into thin air. Zhao Shui's eyes were wet and red, and she bit her lips. "When I entered the Zhao clan, it was all because I was confused. I hope Brother Feng won't hold a grudge for the sake of the past." Looking at Zhao Shui's pitiful appearance, there was a ripple in Zhao Feng's heart, but it was as calm as still water. "Why do you say that? Everyone has the right to choose freely. I have never held a grudge against you." Zhao Feng was calm, and he smiled, with a hint of calmness. Indeed, Zhao Feng did not hold a grudge against Zhao Shui, but he was very disappointed with what she did at that time. "I have never held a grudge against you." Zhao Shui's heart trembled, looking at the calm young man, and she couldn't help but sob. "Could it be that Brother Feng has never done anything to me, even in Qingye town?" Hearing her words, Zhao Feng was also a little confused. Until now, Zhao Feng was not even 14 years old. Half a year ago, he was only 13 years old, and he was naive and ignorant, so he didn't have much reaction to Zhao Shui's love. Even now, Zhao Feng was only 14 years old, and he was focused on martial arts, so he was slightly slow to react to the feelings between men and women. Looking at Zhao Feng's reaction, Zhao Shui immediately understood, and her heart was completely cold. The truth was out, Zhao Feng had never liked her, and at most, he only had a good impression of her when he was a kid. "Brother Zhao Feng." Outside the courtyard came a gentle and sweet voice of a girl. Zhao Yufei smiled as she walked into Zhao Feng's courtyard. The two of them were neighbors, and they were quite familiar with each other, so when Zhao Yufei came in, she didn't even knock. Very quickly, her beautiful eyes focused, and she noticed that the atmosphere was not right with Zhao Shui. Zhao Feng and Zhao Shui were both silent, the latter was sobbing softly, her bright eyes were dim. "Yufei, what's the matter?" Zhao Feng asked curiously, and turned to look at Zhao Yufei. At this time, in the small courtyard, stood two beautiful girls. Zhao Shui was very beautiful, her skin was clear, and she was slightly charming, her looks had already surpassed most girls. But, compared to Zhao Yufei's elegant and refined, like a lotus flower emerging from the clear water, she suddenly seemed dull. Whether it was her looks, temperament, or even talent, Zhao Shui paled in comparison, like the difference between a village girl and a big family's young lady. "Brother Feng, did you not go to the martial arts library to receive your martial arts? In the martial competition, you are ranked in the top 3, and you can even choose a top-notch martial art. How enviable." Zhao Yufei was slightly surprised. So, she had just gone to the martial arts library to receive her reward. The top 10 of the inner sect could choose 2 high-grade martial arts. The top 3 of the inner sect could choose 1 top-notch martial art and 2 high-grade martial arts. "Hee, I almost forgot about this." Zhao Feng smiled lightly. Looking at Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei's figures talking and laughing as they left, Zhao Shui felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar, her heart was filled with disappointment and regret. She regretted her foolish choice back then. After bidding farewell to Zhao Yufei, Zhao Feng walked quickly. Not long after, Zhao Feng arrived at the martial arts library. The elder guarding the martial arts library, however, had changed. It was a white-bearded old man. At first glance, he looked very familiar and amiable. "It's you." The white-bearded old man's eyes slightly lit up. Zhao Feng immediately recognized him, and immediately bowed, with a face full of gratitude. "Greetings, elder." So, this white-bearded old man was the head judge of the clan's martial meet. In the outer sect's martial meet and the inner sect's overall competition, he had taken care of Zhao Feng. "I am Zhao Yusong, you can just call me Uncle Zhao," the white-bearded head judge said with a kind smile. "Yes, Uncle Zhao." Zhao Feng's gratitude came from the bottom of his heart, and this Uncle Zhao was also very sincere. "Follow me." Zhao Yusong brought Zhao Feng to the second floor, Xuanwu Pavilion. The second floor, Xuanwu Pavilion, there were only 200 to 300 martial arts manuals, most of them were high-grade martial arts, and a few were top-notch martial arts. Top-notch martial arts, even for a big clan like the Zhao clan, were extremely precious. Chapter 43. Seeing Zhao Yusong's action, Zhao Feng's eyes lit up with joy. The second floor Xuanwu Pavilion was different from the first floor. Here, there were no authentic martial arts manuals, only a corresponding jade token. There were only a few dozen words on the jade badges, which only described the style of the martial arts. It was hard to tell which one was stronger. Zhao Feng couldn't steal hundreds of martial arts like last time and analyze them slowly. As the elder of the martial library, Zhao Yusong must know all the martial arts in the martial library. More importantly, Zhao Yusong had watched all of Zhao Feng's battles, so he knew him very well. Here are 3 top-tier martial arts: Mystifying Wind Fist, Star Finger, and Heaven Strength Kick. They're suitable for you. Zhao Yusong took out 3 jade badges. Are they all offensive martial arts? Zhao Feng was surprised when he heard the names. The offensive martial arts you've practiced are too low, so your potential is limited. In terms of defense, your metal wall technique is on par with top-tier martial arts. It would be perfect if you could find a holy martial art, silver wall technique. Zhao Yusong explained. As expected of a martial Dao master. Zhao Feng agreed. Zhao Yusong felt that his defense was enough, so he chose all the offensive martial arts for him. These 3 top-grade martial arts are all extraordinary. Mystic Wind Fist is particular about its concept, and its style is unique. It uses ingenuity to break through brute force, and when combined with a brilliant body movement technique, its power will increase by leaps and bounds. Star Finger can gather chi and bring out the full power of finger techniques. Its single-target attacks are outstanding. Tiangang Kick is suitable for people who have good lightness body techniques. The might of this kick technique is powerful, and it can generate strong winds to form an area of effect attack. It's very useful when fighting against a crowd. Zhao Yusong briefly introduced the 3 top-notch martial arts to him. Zhao Feng was tempted to learn any of them. If he were to cultivate any of these 3 top-notch martial arts, he would be able to unleash great power. "Uncle Zhao, may I ask which of these 3 martial arts is the strongest?" Zhao Feng asked. There were high and low cultivation techniques, but there was always one that was the most powerful and brilliant. Among the 3 martial arts, Star Finger is the most powerful. In terms of single-target attack, it's even stronger than the spatial cloud finger that Zhao Linlong cultivates. Its power is even close to a saint-grade martial art. However, this martial art is extremely difficult to cultivate, and there is a certain degree of danger. Zhao Yusong smiled. Then I'll choose it. Zhao Feng did not hesitate at all. During the martial meet, he had seen Zhao Linlong display the shuttle cloud finger, which was extremely powerful. On the other hand, Star Finger was stronger than Spatial Cloud Finger in terms of single-target power. After confirming the secret manual, Zhao Yusong went to the martial arts library and retrieved the original copy of Star Finger. Zhao Feng's heart was filled with excitement as he held the ancient and yellowed manual. Soon, the contents of Star Finger were absorbed into Zhao Feng's mind. Star Finger was split into 6 levels, and the lowest requirement was the 4th rank of the martial path. This finger skill focused on breaking through the surface with a single point. By condensing the inner strength to the extreme, one could pierce through a 2-inch thick steel plate, not to mention flesh and blood. Even some defensive martial arts would be powerless against such a finger skill. Moreover, this finger technique itself was profound, unconventional, and pursued extreme power. Good, good, good. That's exactly what I wanted. Zhao Feng cheered in satisfaction. Star Finger has another advantage. Even if you haven't reached the 7th rank of the martial path, as long as you reach the 4th level, you will be able to pierce through metal. Zhao Yusong was full of praises for this martial art. Piercing through air. Zhao Feng was shocked when he heard this. Everyone knew that only when one reached the 7th rank of the martial path would they be able to kill through the air. He didn't need to get close to the enemy to be able to kill them. Just how domineering was this? This was the difference between a martial artist and a martial master. As for Star Finger, if one reached the 4th level, one could condense the inner strength of one's finger before reaching the 7th rank of the martial path. This finger skill's difficulty is 2 to 3 times that of a normal martial art. Some people even speculate that it was originally a half-holy martial art. Years ago, I tried to learn it, but I couldn't reach the 4th level for a long time, so I gave up and changed to other martial arts. Zhao Yusong had a complicated expression as he spoke, and when he looked at Zhao Feng, there was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Why does Uncle Zhao trust me? Zhao Feng was confused. That's because your comprehension of martial arts is very high. You've trained your basic fist techniques and intermediate martial arts to perfection. You've even broken the record of lightly floating fairy, a high-level martial art, to such a high level. Zhao Yusong's face was full of joy. Zhao Feng suddenly understood that Uncle Zhao was interested in his comprehension, so he might be able to master Star Finger. Also, let me remind you. Zhao Yusong's expression suddenly became serious. Please speak, Uncle Zhao. Zhao Yusong's eyes suddenly sharpened. Only by mastering Star Finger will you stand a chance against Zhao Linlong, and you won't be able to win. Why was that? Zhao Feng was confused. Wasn't his Star Finger better than Zhao Linlong's shuttle cloud finger? That's because, Zhao Yusong said meaningfully, Zhao Linlong won 1st place, and he is also the head's godson. Not only was he rewarded with 1,000-year-old blood ginseng, but he was also allowed to go to the 3rd floor of the martial library. This broke the family's record. The 3rd floor of the martial library? The legendary 3rd floor of the martial library? Waves crashed in Zhao Feng's heart. Everyone knew that the Xuanwu Pavilion on the 2nd floor stored high-level martial arts and a few top-level martial arts. As for the martial library, it was only a rumor. Zhao Linlong received the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng, which is also an elder's treatment. In the next few months, he has a high chance of breaking through to the 6th rank of the martial path and becoming the head of the 4 great geniuses of Sun Feather City. The higher-ups of the family are determined to make him one of the strongest. Zhao Yusong sighed as he said this. He felt that it was unfair for Zhao Feng. After all, the potential that Zhao Feng had shown might even surpass Zhao Linlong. Unfortunately, he was just a branch family disciple, while Zhao Linlong was the godson of the head of the family. Even if Zhao Feng won against Zhao Linlong, it would be hard for him to get the same treatment. Uncle Zhao, what is on the 3rd floor of the martial library? Could it be the legendary holy rank martial arts? Zhao Feng's breathing quickened. Holy rank martial arts were super-ranked martial arts. They could surpass the 9 ranks of the martial path and reach the legendary holy martial path. How could there be a complete holy rank martial art in a small city like Sun Feather City? Zhao Yusong shook his head and said, however, Zhao Linlong did have the chance to comprehend some of the holy rank martial arts in the 4th floor of the martial library. Zhao Feng let out a sigh of relief when he heard this. After a while, Zhao Feng returned star finger to Zhao Yusong. "You're not copying it?" Zhao Yusong asked curiously. "I'll remember it." Zhao Feng did not plan to hide it. The gift of retentive memory was not unheard of on the continent. Zhao Yusong was a little surprised, but the joy in his eyes grew. It seemed that Zhao Feng was indeed a martial arts genius. After confirming the top-ranked martial arts, Zhao Feng could still choose two high-ranked martial arts. Zhao Yusong recommended a footwork technique called light micro-steps to him. This martial art is said to be related to lightly floating fairy. It is one of the best among the high-ranked movement skills, and is even close to the top. Zhao Yusong explained. One was a top-ranked finger skill, and the other was a movement skill. Zhao Feng could still choose the last high-ranked martial art. This time, he chose a supplementary inner force mental cultivation method, withered tree breathing technique. Deadwood breathing technique was similar to the qi concealing technique. It could be used to cultivate inner force and hide one's aura. According to the description, if one mastered Deadwood breathing technique, he could enter a fake death state to hide from his enemies. You have good taste. Every martial art is powerful. Zhao Yusong smiled. After choosing his martial arts, Zhao Feng thanked Uncle Zhao and left. Thump. 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 At this moment, footsteps could be heard from the stairs of the martial library. A total of 3 people stepped onto the second floor. There was a white-robed elder, a scholarly middle-aged man, and a young man in a golden robe. The last person was Zhao Linlong. Zhao Feng was shocked, and immediately bowed to the two in front of him. "Greetings, Patriarch, Elder." Finally, he looked at the young man in the golden robe and smiled, "Brother Linlong." "N." The Patriarch and the white-robed elder saw Zhao Feng and nodded. Zhao Linlong, on the other hand, only glanced at him before following behind the sect leader and the elders without saying a word. Such a display made Zhao Feng feel somewhat awkward and unhappy. No matter what, Zhao Feng was the third-ranked genius of the inner sect. Even if Zhao Linlong was first, he could not be ignored like this. The Patriarch and the previous martial library elder are here, could it be? Zhao Feng secretly guessed. If it was just to enter the second floor, Xuanwu Pavilion, there was no need for the Patriarch and another elder to come. Unless it was to open the third floor of the martial library, one elder was not enough, and several elders were needed to open it together. Just as expected. Zhao Feng saw the Patriarch and the 2 elders send Zhao Linlong to the third floor of the martial library. Looks like Uncle Zhao was right. Zhao Feng was a little unhappy, but he quickly calmed down, especially when he thought of the dimension in his left eye. Leaving the martial library, Zhao Feng went straight home. Inside his room, he closed his eyes, and in his mind, star finger, light micro steps, and Deadwood breathing technique appeared. The new martial technique was of an even higher grade. It would gradually replace the angry dragon fist, qi concealing art, and other martial techniques. Zhao Feng first tried light micro steps, and found that this movement skill was similar to lightly floating fairy. Half an hour later, he had started to understand light micro steps. He started to practice it in the morning and afternoon, and successfully got started. At night, Zhao Feng was pleasantly surprised to find that with air-crossing breathing technique, he could use light micro-steps with half the effort. If the air-crossing mantra was added, the light micro-steps would at least be a top-notch movement technique. This discovery almost made Zhao Feng dizzy with joy. In the following days, he started to focus on practicing a few martial arts. Among them, light micro steps and Deadwood breathing technique were both high-level martial arts, and Zhao Feng learned them very easily. This was not only because of his left eye, but also because of lightly floating fairy and hiding air technique. In just 10 days, Zhao Feng had reached the high level of mastery in these 2 high-ranked martial arts. Next, his focus was on star finger. This finger skill was of the highest level, and also the hardest to practice. Even Zhao Yusong did not succeed. Chapter 44. Closing his eyes, Zhao Feng started to comprehend the moves of Star Finger in his mind. After a few hours, Zhao Feng understood that it was much more difficult than the high-ranked martial arts that he had learnt before. In terms of difficulty, lightly floating fairy was the only martial art he had learnt that could be compared to it. But Star Finger was not only difficult, it also had a certain level of danger. It required a specific method to circulate inner strength and condense it to the extreme. If there was even the slightest mistake, one could be crippled. This level of danger increased the difficulty of training. Luckily, Zhao Feng had a powerful left eye. Every time he activated the ability of his left eye, he would be able to focus his mind. His reaction, comprehension, and analysis were all extraordinary, making it hard for him to make any mistakes. Imperceptibly, the danger of Star Finger was reduced to the minimum by Zhao Feng. After 2 days, Zhao Feng had barely grasped the first level of Star Finger. The first level of Star Finger was to unleash the power of the finger technique and condense all the power into a single line, creating a powerful piercing force. After mastering the first level, Zhao Feng did not need to use inner strength. He could easily pierce through a stone tablet with just a finger. Next, he continued to learn the second level of Star Finger. The second level was much more difficult than the first. It required him to condense all the power in his body into a single point, creating an explosive effect. Just the second level alone took Zhao Feng 6 to 7 days. But the results were obvious. The power of the second level of Star Finger was already slightly higher than the power of a high-ranked martial art. This meant that the second level of Zhao Feng's Star Finger could make him look down on all the disciples of the Zhao clan. Only Zhao Linlong could beat him. After breaking through the second level, the speed of training became slower and more difficult. Half a month later, Zhao Feng put all his effort into comprehending and training, but he barely managed to reach the peak of the second level. Zhao Feng finally reached a bottleneck when he wanted to break through to the third level. This finger technique is indeed difficult. I wonder what will happen when I break through to the fourth level. Zhao Feng's anticipation grew. As long as he broke through the fourth level of Star Finger, he would be able to condense his finger force through the air and injure people. It was almost comparable to the advantage of a martial Dao master. Back then, Zhao Yusong had also cultivated this finger technique, and it took him at least a year or 2 to break through to the second level. On the other hand, Zhao Feng only used 20 days to reach the peak of the second level. This is still not the most difficult part. The move that the young and inexperienced girl used in the Blood Python Canyon back then was even more profound. Zhao Feng remembered the mysterious wind palm in the dimension of his left eye. Of course, Zhao Feng would not bite off more than he could chew. He would take it one step at a time. Cultivation techniques and martial arts were also progressing step by step. It was impossible to reach the heavens in a single step. Now that he had made some progress in his martial arts, Zhao Feng focused his attention on his cultivation and inner strength. Inside the blood python's cave, Zhao Feng's body had absorbed an enormous amount of energy from the blood spring, as well as the medicinal strength of the precious materials. At that time, the medicinal strength had not been completely absorbed, and there was still a portion left in his body. After returning, Zhao Feng continued to cultivate his martial arts and inner strength to further absorb the medicinal strength. In the blink of an eye, another half a month had passed. Zhao Feng had completely absorbed the remaining medicinal strength in his body. His current cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th rank, and he was only half a step away from the 6th rank of the martial path. As for inner strength, it had even exceeded the limit of the 5th rank, and it was comparable to a cultivator of the 6th rank of the martial path. Now, if Zhao Feng wanted to break through to the 6th rank of the martial path, there was no bottleneck to speak of. He didn't even need the help of the 3,000-year-old medicinal herbs. In a few more days, I will be able to break through to the 6th rank of the martial path. Zhao Feng had a strong instinct, and it came to the changes in his body. In fact, most cultivators would have a similar feeling when they were about to break through to the 6th rank. Thus, he decided to stop cultivating and let his body relax. Coincidentally, his neighbor, Zhao Yufei, came over to spar with Zhao Feng. 1.5 months had passed since the family's martial arts gathering, and Zhao Yufei's cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th rank, and it looked like she was about to break through to the 5th rank. "Brother Zhao Feng, I want to see your neo-martial arts." Zhao Yufei smiled mischievously, and her face was slightly red. She wore a light green dress, and she looked like a fairy. "Okay." Zhao Feng nodded in agreement, and was about to try out the new martial arts he had learned. In the courtyard, 2 figures crossed each other. First, it was the footwork. Zhao Feng used lightly micro steps, and his figure and footwork became blurry, elegant, and unfathomable. When lightly micro steps was used to the limit, there seemed to be a few afterimages of Zhao Feng superimposed on each other. Speed was originally Zhao Yufei's forte, but in front of Zhao Feng, she was completely suppressed. Both of them trained in high-level footwork, and although their levels were not that different, there was a clear difference in power. Zhao Yufei was confused. Because during the spar, Zhao Feng's cultivation was even lower than hers. Even in terms of inner strength, the two of them cultivated the air-crossing mantra. "Yufei's body quality is not as good as mine, and I have the foundation of lightly floating fairy, so I have the advantage in footwork." Zhao Feng explained half-truthfully. The real reason was that lightly micro steps and lightly floating fairy were related, and Zhao Feng used the matching training method to raise this set of footwork to the level of a top-level martial art. Secondly, it was offensive martial arts. Zhao Feng controlled the power of star finger to be close to the 2nd level, and when he pointed his finger, a needle and thread condensed energy burst out, and its penetrative power was shocking. In the end, Zhao Yufei only took 1 hit, and she was almost injured, unable to block it directly. "Brother Zhao Feng's finger technique, I'm afraid it is a top-level martial art." Zhao Yufei was slightly surprised, and showed a look of envy. Top-level martial arts were extremely rare, and among the entire Zhao clan, only Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, and Zhao Feng had trained in it. "That's right, it is a top-level martial art." Zhao Feng smiled faintly, he was very satisfied with Star Finger's power. Just as the two of them were sparring and discussing, "Hee, Sister Yufei, I came to spar with you, but you weren't at home. So you were here." A man's laughter could be heard, and there was a sense of carefreeness in it. On the wall, a young man wearing a golden robe stood. He was about 17 or 18 years old, and he looked calm as he looked at Zhao Yufei. "Zhao Linlong." Zhao Feng slightly furrowed his eyebrows. This was his home, and at this moment, without the owner's permission, Zhao Linlong was standing on the wall. "Brother Linlong." Zhao Yufei smiled faintly, and maintained her manners. After all, the person who came was the #1 disciple of the clan, and he was also the adopted son of the clan. "Brother Linlong, are you here to spar with me again?" Zhao Yufei was expressionless. Recently, Zhao Linlong had been looking for her from time to time. Sometimes it was to spar, and sometimes it was to discuss martial arts. Every time they met, Zhao Yufei could feel the passion and love in Zhao Linlong's eyes, and it made her feel uncomfortable. "That's right, I believe that Sister Yufei won't reject me." Zhao Linlong's words were filled with confidence. He didn't step into the courtyard, and only stood on the wall. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even look at his owner, Zhao Feng. "Thank you for your kindness, but Brother Zhao Feng just sparred with me." Zhao Yufei tactfully rejected him with a smile. To be able to spar with the #1 genius of the Zhao clan, any girl from the Zhao clan would find it hard to refuse, and it was even a dream. But for some reason, Zhao Yufei had an indescribable conflict with Zhao Linlong. Zhao Linlong had a sense of arrogance and superiority, as if it was the other party's honor to be chosen by him. On the contrary, Zhao Feng was from the same branch clan as her, and they sparred with each other naturally. They had a common language, and there was no pressure. Zhao Linlong finally realized the existence of his owner, Zhao Feng. Glancing at Zhao Feng, Zhao Linlong smiled but didn't say anything. Obviously, he didn't want to comment, but he also didn't want to explain. Then forget it. Today, I'm looking for Sister Yufei for another matter. Zhao Linlong shrugged and changed the topic. Brother Linlong, please speak. About this matter. I want to talk to Yufei alone. As Zhao Linlong finished speaking, he glanced at Zhao Feng, intentionally or unintentionally. Brother Zhao Feng, I'll leave first. Zhao Yufei was slightly apologetic as she greeted Zhao Feng. Then, the two left together, leaving Zhao Feng in the courtyard. Could it be that Zhao Linlong is chasing after Yufei? Zhao Feng finally realized something. On the other side, Zhao Linlong brought Zhao Yufei to a secluded area. Yufei, in half a month, Sun Feather City's annual Genius Summit will begin. The host is the #1 beauty of Sun Feather City, Qiu Mengyu. At that time, all the geniuses of Sun Feather City will be invited to participate. As Zhao Linlong said this, he paused. Genius Summit. #1 beauty of Sun Feather City. Zhao Yufei's eyes flashed with surprise and expectation. Zhao Yufei had heard a little about the Genius Summit. It was a gathering for the young geniuses of Sun Feather City to learn from each other. The so-called 4 geniuses of Sun Feather City were decided through the Genius Summit. This is a gathering for the younger generation of Sun Feather City. As the #1 disciple of the Zhao clan, I have the right to recommend 5 people. A smile appeared on Zhao Linlong's face. Oh. Genius Summit? #1 beauty of Sun Feather City. Yufei really wants to see it. Zhao Yufei blinked her beautiful eyes. She was very interested. Oh right, who are the people you recommend? Zhao Yufei asked. There's Zhao Qi, Zhao Han, Zhao Qin, and Zhao Ling. Zhao Linlong didn't hide anything. Wait. Why isn't Brother Zhao Feng here? He was ranked 3rd at the clan meeting. Zhao Yufei suddenly interrupted. Zhao Feng. Zhao Linlong said, he's just a side branch disciple. That day at the tournament, he didn't even have the courage to challenge me. This kind of person is dispensable at the Genius Summit. Brother Zhao Feng's strength is there. Zhao Yufei couldn't bear to hear this. Ha, don't worry. In another 2 days, my cultivation and iron wall technique might reach a breakthrough at the same time. Zhao Feng was secretly looking forward to it. Martial Path Grade 6 or Metal Wall Technique Grade 5. If he could achieve any one of them, Zhao Feng was confident that he could look down on the younger generations of the Zhao clan, let alone 2. On the same day, in a quaint and elegant courtyard in the inner layer of the Zhao clan. 6th rank of the martial path. It's faster than I thought. Zhao Linlong, who was wearing a golden robe, slowly stood up as a powerful martial path inner force surrounded his body. Who? An invisible wave of air rushed out with him as the center, tearing the leaves and trees around him into pieces. Not bad, reaching the 6th rank of the martial path before the age of 18. This has broken the record of the Sun Feather City. The head of the family, Zhao Tiansong, smiled warmly as his eyes were filled with love and admiration. If it wasn't for the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng and the inner force meridian opening technique, Lin Long wouldn't have been able to reach the 6th rank so quickly. Zhao Linlong said humbly. Although he had reached the 6th rank of the martial path, he was still insignificant in front of his godfather. There was a huge gap between the 6th and 7th rank of the martial path, just like the gap between a martial disciple and a martial artist. Less than 1 in 10 people became a martial disciple and a martial artist. And for a martial artist to be promoted to a martial Dao master, it was 1 in 100. From now on, you need to focus on your cultivation. I heard that you are going to attend the Genius Summit. You have to make the Zhao clan proud. Zhao Tiansong said with a smile. Don't worry father, apart from Xian Wuheng, I don't care about anyone else. I heard that Xian Wuheng's cultivation is only at the peak of the 5th rank, so I have a 60% chance of beating him. Zhao Linlong's voice was filled with confidence. Time passed quickly. The Genius Summit went by day by day. On the eve of the Genius Summit, Sun Feather City was extremely lively. In order to witness this event, many people traveled thousands of miles to Sun Feather City. Some people just wanted to see the face of the most beautiful girl in Sun Feather City. During this time, the news of Zhao Linlong reaching the 6th rank of the martial path had spread throughout Sun Feather City, shocking many of the younger generation and causing waves in the 3 families. The 6th rank of the martial path. This was an unattainable dream for the younger generation, a youth before the age of 18. In the entire Sun Feather City, there was no one else that could be compared to Zhao Linlong. However, what no one knew was that in the Zhao family, Zhao Linlong wasn't the only one who had reached the 6th rank of the martial path. In the inner part of the Zhao clan, in a large courtyard, a youth's footsteps were blurry. His afterimages overlapped again and again as he scuttled about. Sometimes, he would leap up and leap through the air. Tang! Zhao Feng's figure was like a falling leaf as he landed on the ground. If one looked closely, they would find that Zhao Feng's figure was even taller. He was only 14 years old, but he was taller than most adults. His skin and muscles were as tough as bronze, and they were filled with explosive power. 7 days ago, Zhao Feng had reached the 6th rank of the martial path, and his metal wall technique had also reached the 5th level. At that time, he was confident that no one in the younger generation of Sun Feather City would be his match. A few days ago, he had been trying to comprehend Star Finger and Light Micro Steps. Lightly Micro Step was a high-ranked movement skill, and it was slowly reaching its peak. Right now, Zhao Feng's focus was on Star Finger. In the past few days, he had finally made a breakthrough in Star Finger, and the power of his finger skill had increased once again, barely reaching the 3rd level. Whoosh! Zhao Feng's index finger drew a line in the air, and it was accompanied by a sharp whistling sound. Ha! Zhao Feng's inner strength condensed at the tip of his finger, causing the air around him to tremble and explode. Whoosh! In the darkness of the night, a star suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and it was as if it was a star in the night sky. This move was the signature move of Star Finger, One Finger of Star. The power of One Finger of Star had reached a terrifying level. Once it was successfully used, it would be invincible against those of the same rank, and it could even counter defensive body strengthening skills. Zhao Feng was confident that not many people under the 7th rank of the martial path could block this move. However, One Finger of Star had an obvious weakness. First, the success rate. At the 3rd level of Star Finger, the success rate of using One Finger of Star was only 20 to 30%. Second, the danger. If it failed, it could injure the blood vessels and meridians, especially the fingers, which could easily break. This showed how dangerous this move was. In the past, Zhao Yusong's Star Finger had stopped at the 3rd level. If I open my left eye, the success rate of using One Finger of Star will increase to 40 to 50%, and if I fail, the chance of injuring my fingers will be reduced to less than 10%. Zhao Feng analyzed in his heart. Of course, as his martial arts level increased, the success rate of using One Finger of Star would also increase. At the peak of the 3rd level, most people would have a success rate of 40 to 50%. At the 4th level, the success rate would be 70 to 80%. At the 5th level, the success rate would be 100%. As for above the 6th level, the success rate would not be limited to just using One Finger of Star. At that level, the finger skill would be as dazzling as the stars, and if it wasn't a holy martial art, it would be invincible. Zhao Feng didn't dare to hope for that level, as it was still far away from him. What he was looking forward to the most was the 4th level of Star Finger. Once he reached the 4th level, he would be able to use the sky-piercing finger to kill his enemies. Young Master Zhao Feng, you've received an invitation. A servant came in and said respectfully. Zhao Feng was a bit confused, but he took the green invitation with the words, Genius Summit, written on it. Genius Summit? Zhao Feng didn't know what was going on. He didn't know anything about this strange summit. There were some small words at the bottom of the invitation. Host, Qiu Mengyu. Zhao Feng felt that the name was familiar. Who's Qiu Mengyu? Zhao Feng asked. Young Master Zhao Feng, Qiu Mengyu is the most beautiful girl in Sun Feather City, and also one of the 4 great geniuses. The servant said with a weird expression. Qiu Mengyu, the most beautiful girl in Sun Feather City, how could there be someone who didn't know her? Shush! As soon as the servant left, a faint purple figure entered the courtyard. Brother Zhao Feng, did you get an invitation to the Genius Summit? Zhao Yufei smiled, the dimples on her cheeks were as attractive as a pear. Genius Summit, what is it? Zhao Feng didn't know what was going on. You don't even know about the Genius Summit? Zhao Yufei's mouth was wide open, her face was full of disbelief. In her heart, she was ashamed and angry. She had gone to the Qiu family with great difficulty to help him get an invitation letter. She didn't even know what the Genius Summit was. Sister Yufei, what is the Genius Summit? Zhao Feng couldn't help but ask. He didn't know the details of the invitation. Originally, Zhao Linlong had 5 recommendations for the Genius Summit, but Zhao Feng wasn't the only one. Zhao Yufei didn't tell Zhao Feng about this, but in the end, she disregarded her status and went to the Qiu family to get an invitation for Zhao Feng. If you don't know, then forget it. Zhao Yufei snorted and left Zhao Feng's courtyard. Zhao Feng felt strange, he felt that Zhao Yufei was a bit angry. Ever since the two moved into the inner area, they have been living together, this was the first time. Genius Summit? Let's go have a look, I wonder what the #1 beauty of Sun Feather City looks like, could she be prettier than Zhao Yufei? Zhao Feng finally became interested. He opened the invitation, the time and place of the summit was written on it. Ah! Not good. Zhao Feng's expression changed dramatically. The time stated on the invitation was 10:00 in the evening. The sun had already set, less than half an hour ago. Hey! Yufei, wait! Zhao Feng softly called out, and then he leaped into the air in pursuit. Chapter 46. With Zhao Feng's lightly floating fairy's speed, he soon caught up to the girl in purple. Zhao Yufei's face tightened as if she was still angry. Zhao Feng was confused and asked again, but Zhao Yufei didn't reply. She continued to walk, but her clear eyes occasionally glanced at the helpless youth next to her. Her expression softened, but she didn't purposely keep her distance. Zhao Feng felt that the girl wasn't really angry, so he asked about the Genius Summit. The Genius Summit is a gathering of the youths of Sun Feather City. Most of the people invited are not just from the 3 big families, but also from other forces. Zhao Yufei briefly explained the situation of the Genius Summit. The goal of the Genius Summit was to choose a few geniuses through friendly sparring. Soon, the two arrived at the gate of the Zhao clan. At the gate of the Zhao clan stood a few figures, including Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, and Zhao Han. Sister Yufei, you're the only one left. Zhao Linlong revealed a faint smile as his aura became deep and deep, giving off a pressure that surpassed normal cultivators. The aura of the 6th rank of the martial path made many of the disciples of the Zhao clan fear him. Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei walked over and met up with the other geniuses. Apart from the top 5, there was also Zhao Qin and Zhao Ling. Why are you here? Zhao Linlong saw Zhao Feng and his eyebrows slightly furrowed. What? Brother Linlong doesn't welcome me? Zhao Feng was shocked. Why couldn't he come? As one of the top 3 in the Zhao clan, it should be normal for him to attend the Genius Summit. Hee. Zhao Linlong smiled as the mockery in his eyes disappeared and he ignored Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng, on the other hand, felt like he was being ignored again. The members of the Zhao clan, including Zhao Qi and Zhao Qin, had a rough idea of the reason. Zhao Linlong didn't leave a few spots for Zhao Feng. According to the rules, Zhao Feng was not invited and could not enter the summit. If Zhao Linlong doesn't want to explain, it's obvious that he wants to embarrass Zhao Feng. Zhao Qi and Zhao Han couldn't help but reveal pity in their eyes. Zhao Feng felt that the atmosphere was strange. These people were looking at him with strange gazes. "Alright, let's go." Zhao Linlong gave the order. "The summit will be held at the Smoky Wave Lake near the Qiu clan. We'll arrive soon." Zhao Yufei glanced at Zhao Feng from time to time, as if she was afraid that he would get lost. After a while, a small lake appeared in front of him, about 10 acres in size. At the side of the lake, there was a mountain that was more than 1,000 meters tall. It had rocky cliffs and lush greenery. Strangely enough, the lake surrounded half of the mountain. The summit was held at the peak of the Smoky Wave Lake. The group used their movement techniques and floated up the mountain. Bow! 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 Occasionally, one or two youths would appear and they would step on the surface of the lake and fly to the top of the mountain. On the top of the mountain, the figures of the Qiu clan could be seen. This was because the host of the summit, Qiu Mengyu, was from the Qiu clan, one of the 3 great clans. "Please show your invitation." At the entrance of the summit, 7 or 8 youths of the Qiu clan stood together. These cultivators were not youths, but the younger generation of the Qiu clan. They were around 20 to 30 years old and their cultivation was at least of the 5th rank of the martial path. The youths that entered the summit took out their invitation and verified it one by one. The few from the Zhao clan, led by Zhao Linlong, passed through the entrance first. Then Zhao Qi, Zhao Han, finally, it was Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei's turn. At this moment, Zhao Linlong's lips curled into a smile as he glanced at Zhao Feng. "This is my invitation letter." Zhao Feng took out his invitation. "And, that's right." The young cultivator nodded his head and let Zhao Feng in. This scene caused the smile on Zhao Linlong's face to freeze. Zhao Qi and Zhao Han were also shocked. What's going on? Why does Zhao Feng have an invitation? The reactions of the few fell into Zhao Feng's eyes. He couldn't help but think as he looked at Zhao Yufei. Zhao Yufei's eyes turned and avoided his gaze. She seemed to be a little guilty as she handed over her invitation. The 7 of them successfully entered the summit. Zhao Feng was still confused and asked Zhao Yufei. He felt that there was something unusual about his invitation. Zhao Yufei smiled. "If you want to know the answer, you'll have to become the top genius of this year's summit." Zhao Feng shook his head and didn't think about it anymore. When this happened to Zhao Linlong, his eyebrows furrowed and his eyes turned cold as he glanced at Zhao Feng with a hint of warning. Zhao Feng also felt the hostility and the warning, but he didn't take it to heart. With his current strength, he wasn't afraid of Zhao Linlong at all. The few from the Zhao clan were quickly arranged to a pavilion and maids served them snacks and tea. The pavilion where the Zhao clan was at was closest to the center of the summit. There were 3 pavilions closest to the center of the summit, representing the Zhao, Qiu, and Xian families. Zhao Feng saw the disciples of the Xian family in the pavilion on the left, including Xian Fei and Xian Tong. Among them, Xian Fei improved the fastest and his cultivation was close to the 5th rank of the martial path, while Xian Tong broke through to the 5th rank. Of course, compared to Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei, there was still a gap. On the surface, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei's cultivation had reached at least the 5th rank of the martial path, and they were the youngest. The strongest genius of the Xian family is called Xian Wuheng, and he's the head of the 4 geniuses. The other geniuses couldn't even last 10 moves against him in the last summit. Zhao Qin said in a low voice. Following her direction, Zhao Feng and the others' gazes landed on an ordinary youth in an azure robe. The youth in the azure robe was 16 or 17 years old and had an ordinary appearance. His eyes were closed as if he didn't care about anything. He was Xian Wuheng, and his cultivation seemed to be at the peak of the 5th rank of the martial path. Facing Xian Wuheng, even the prideful Zhao Linlong had a solemn expression. When Zhao Feng's left eye saw Xian Wuheng, his eyes flashed and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. This person isn't simple. Facing Zhao Linlong, Zhao Feng didn't feel any pressure. But looking at this person, he had to take him seriously. Zhao Feng's left eye could see things that others couldn't, as if he had sensed something. Xian Wuheng suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, Zhao Feng saw a pair of eyes that were as deep as a lake. It was like the finishing touch, which made the ordinary face look extraordinary. Xian Wuheng. Zhao Linlong spat out these 3 words, and his eyes were filled with battle intent. However, something unexpected happened. Xian Wuheng didn't look at the number 1 genius of the Zhao clan. His gaze actually landed on Zhao Feng. Not bad, I've finally met an opponent that I'm interested in. Xian Wuheng slightly nodded his head. Finishing, he once again closed his eyes, not looking at Zhao Linlong and the others. What? The coldness in Zhao Linlong's eyes spread, and he took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart. In the entire Sun Feather City, no one from the 3 families dared to look down on him like this. But this person was Xian Wuheng, so he couldn't do anything. Because at the last summit, Xian Wuheng had defeated him in 10 moves. Who is this guy? To be able to attract Xian Wuheng's attention. Many people were shocked, and they all looked towards Zhao Feng. These people included Xian Fei and Xian Tong, who he had fought before. Amongst them, Xian Fei's eyes were filled with battle intent, and Xian Tong also had an expectant look on his face. This kid's improvement is godly, his cultivation has also reached the 5th rank. Xian Wuheng's attention on Zhao Feng made Zhao Linlong unhappy. Looking at Xian Wuheng's attitude, it was obvious that he valued Zhao Feng more, as if he didn't put the number 1 genius of the Zhao clan in his eyes. Xian Wuheng, it won't be long before you find out who your real opponent is. Zhao Linlong sneered in his mind. As the night fell, more and more people arrived at the summit. There were many pavilions on the summit, and they were all for the geniuses that had been invited, or some elders and VIPs. There were around 40 to 50 youths in the entire Sun Feather City that had been invited, and the others numbered in the hundreds. At this moment, a commotion came from the summit. Look! Qiu Mengyu is here. The number 1 beauty of Sun Feather City. Everyone exclaimed, and the noise turned into dead silence. In the hazy darkness of the night, a young girl in green walked over the red carpet. Her hair was like a waterfall, fluttering in the wind. Her exquisite and beautiful face looked like it had been carefully carved out of porcelain. Her hair fluttered in the wind, adding a hazy liveliness to her face, making her look like a fairy from a dream. Qiu Mengyu was around 17 to 18 years old, and her movements were elegant. Her smile was like a flower, and every move she made was charming, unlike Zhao Yufei, Zhao Qin, and the other girls who were immature. No wonder she's the number 1 beauty of Sun Feather City. Don't you guys forget that Qiu Mengyu is one of the top 4 geniuses of Sun Feather City. Many of the geniuses were dazed. In the entire summit, the only girl that could be compared to Qiu Mengyu was Zhao Yufei. Zhao Yufei was even younger, only around 14 to 15 years old. Her beauty was pure and untainted, which was why it wasn't as eye-catching as Qiu Mengyu's. Under the gazes of the crowd, the number 1 beauty of Sun Feather City stepped onto the summit and led 10 geniuses of the Qiu family to the pavilion opposite the Zhao family. Today, Mengyu is honored to host the summit, and I've invited the geniuses of the Sun Feather City from all over. Qiu Mengyu's voice was like a flowing stream, causing one's mind to be dazzled and attracted by her beautiful voice. She was indeed beautiful. Zhao Feng couldn't help but inspect Qiu Mengyu. Zhao Yufei, who was standing beside him, snorted. In the pavilion of the Qiu clan, other than Chiu Mengyu, there was also an elegant scholar dressed in white. He was handsome and his cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th rank. That scholar is called Chiu Changyi, and he's one of the top 4 geniuses of the Chiu family, just like Chiu Mengyu. Zhao Qin introduced in a low voice. So you're saying that the Chiu family has 2 geniuses? Zhao Feng was slightly shocked. That's right, the Chiu family has a strong influence in Sun Feather City, and they don't get along with our Zhao family. Zhao Qi added. At this moment, the top 4 geniuses of Sun Feather City arrived, Zhao Linlong, Xian Wuheng, Chiu Mengyu, and Chiu Changyi. Chapter 47. In the last summit, the 4 geniuses were ranked one by one, and Xian Wuheng was ranked first. Chiu Mengyu was ranked second, Zhao Linlong was third, and Chiu Changyi was fourth. The first was from the Xian family, and the second and fourth were from the Chiu family. The Zhao family was obviously at a disadvantage. But this year, the Zhao family came from behind and overtook them. Not only had Zhao Linlong reached the 6th rank, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei had also reached the 5th rank at a young age, which made the Zhao clan's geniuses much higher than the other clans. Comparing the number of geniuses above the 5th rank. The Zhao clan had 5, Zhao Linlong, Zhao Qi, Zhao Feng, Zhao Han, and Zhao Yufei. There were only 3 people in the Xian family, including Xian Tong who had broken through not long ago. The Chiu family had 4, including Chiu Mengyu and Chiu Changyi. I'm afraid this year's Genius Summit will be a fierce battle. The strength of the Zhao clan put pressure on the other 2 clans, causing their expressions to turn grave. After everyone had arrived, the summit officially began. The main purpose of the summit was to exchange pointers and exchange pointers. According to the rules of the summit, everyone could display their skills and exchange pointers with others. After each round of sparring, the host or other people could participate in the evaluation, praise or derogation. At the center of the summit. The skill I am practicing is called Sweeping Cloud Kick, and it has reached the peak level. A youth kicked out with both of his legs, and his speed became faster and faster. In the end, only the afterimages of his legs could be seen. Not bad to train a middle-ranked skill to the peak level. The crowd exclaimed. What was rare was that this youth didn't come from one of the 3 major clans, but the number 1 genius of another clan. After the practice, the youth's eyes lit up, and he said to Chiu Mengyu, I hope to exchange pointers with the number 1 beauty of Sun Feather City. As soon as he said this, the crowd booed. Pfft, a country bumpkin like you wants to exchange pointers with Chiu Mengyu? If you want to challenge Mengyu, you have to defeat me first. Amongst the Chiu family disciples, a youth of the 4th rank of the martial path flew out. The 2 youths were soon locked in combat. The young man from the Chiu family cultivated a set of high-grade fist techniques. Its might was not ordinary, and it had reached large success. In the end, after 50 to 60 moves, the Chiu clan's disciple won. Humph! How dare you come to the Genius Summit with your meager strength? What a disgrace! The Chiu clan disciple sneered. The cultivation techniques and martial arts that the geniuses of the 3 major clans cultivated were of a higher level, more comprehensive, and stronger than the other forces. After this Chiu clan disciple won, another Xian clan disciple challenged him. The Genius Summit proceeded in an orderly manner. In the beginning, the sparring was between ordinary geniuses in the 4th stage of the martial path. The wind and cloud geniuses and geniuses above the 5th rank didn't interfere. In a short while, Zhao Qin and Zhao Qing of the Zhao clan entered the arena one after another. Some of them won, while others lost. As time passed, the geniuses on the stage became stronger and stronger. I, Zhao Han, would like to experience your strength. Zhao Han stood in the middle of the clearing. His eyes scanned the Xian family and the Chiu family. His target was the 5th rank of the martial path. The Xian family had 3 cultivators of the 5th rank, led by Xian Wuheng. Although there weren't many of them, they were all strong. Let me. Xian Tong slowly stood up and threw away the straw hat on his head. Last time at the entrance of the Zhao clan, Xian Tong and Zhao Han had fought. At that time, because of Zhao Han's powerful cultivation and inner strength, Xian Tong lost. Loser. Zhao Han coldly laughed and attacked without saying a word. Iron Wall Hand. Xian Tong's arm was like copper, and his muscles became thicker as he punched out with a domineering inner strength. Cold Snow Palm. An extremely cold and oppressive inner strength appeared on Zhao Han's body. A cold silver aura accompanied that palm and slowly struck out. Pa! The two forces clashed together. Zhao Han retreated a few steps, his qi and blood churning. Xian Tong slowed down and felt a chill on his arm. The two had their advantages and disadvantages. Zhao Han's advantage was that his inner strength had reached the peak of the 5th rank. Xian Tong trained in copper skin iron body, so his body and defense were stronger. Because he had reached the 5th rank, Xian Tong's inner strength had caught up, and along with his strength and iron wall hand, his power was extremely strong. After exchanging dozens of blows, the two were evenly matched. But as time passed, Zhao Han started to feel tired. Every time they clashed, his arm would feel numb, and his hand would feel like it was about to crack. Xian Tong's defense was strong, and even if his inner strength was at a disadvantage, he wouldn't be injured. After 100 blows, Zhao Han's breathing was heavy, while Xian Tong was steadily improving. The two of you will end here. Qiu Mengyu smiled and stopped the sparring. Zhao Han, your inner strength is very strong, but your foundation is slightly unstable. I suggest that you strengthen your body. As for Xian Tong, your defense and body training are your strengths, and your attack power is also very strong. However, you rely too much on your strength, and in terms of martial arts techniques, you are slightly lacking. She then commented on the advantages and disadvantages of the two. Qiu Mengyu's comments were accurate. Other than that, there were also other geniuses who participated in the discussion. In this spar, the final verdict was that Xian Tong had won by a small margin. Hehe, who else from the Zhao family wants to fight? Zhao Linlong? Or Zhao Feng? Xian Tong crossed his arms and chewed on a blade of grass as he looked at the Zhao family. There were too many geniuses from the Zhao family this year, and the disciples of the Xian family and Qiu family were purposely challenging the geniuses from the Zhao family. Xian Tong's gaze traveled back and forth until it finally locked onto Zhao Feng. He wasn't confident that he could challenge Zhao Linlong. Zhao Linlong had entered the Genius Summit with his cultivation of the 6th rank. Other than the top geniuses, normal geniuses didn't dare to challenge him. You've just fought, so I won with an unfair advantage. Zhao Feng stood up and faintly smiled. What he said was the truth. Xian Tong had just fought with Zhao Han, and his stamina and inner strength had been greatly depleted. But his words caused the disciples of the Xian family to feel disgusted. Kid! You're too arrogant. If you don't want to fight, then just say it. I hate cowards. The main reason was that Zhao Feng wasn't famous in Sun Feather City, and many people didn't know him. Zhao Feng's fame was limited to the Zhao family, and he rarely showed himself outside of the family. Among the Xian family disciples, only Xian Fei didn't think so. Instead, his expression became even more solemn. Qiu Mengyu suggested with a smile, why don't we let Xian Tong rest for a while, and Zhao Feng, you can show off your skills or spar with the others. Her beautiful eyes were clear and rippling, and she took a few more glances at Zhao Yufei, who was in the distance, with slight interest. Zhao Yufei was a bit embarrassed and stuck out her tongue. Zhao Feng felt weird, as he felt that this Qiu Mengyu seemed to know him. Who wants to spar with me? He said with a smile. Let me. A youth with a scar jumped out from among the disciples of the Xian family. It was Xian Fei. After 2 months, Xian Fei's cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th rank. I'm afraid you're no match for me. Zhao Feng stared at Xian Fei calmly. I know. Xian Fei took a deep breath, and his eyes became sharp. The long saber in his hand had not been released, but there was a buzzing sound. Puchi, the edge of the saber was suffused with a layer of sharp aura. It cut through the air and produced a sharp whistling sound. The cold flow of the saber light transformed into a gale wave, wave after wave. Wild wind dance. Xian Fei pushed his blade to the limit, and everything within a yard was surrounded by the wind. The blade and the wind seemed to have merged into one, creating a song of blade dance. Facing such an attack, Zhao Feng was shocked. He didn't expect Xian Fei's strength to be able to challenge the 5th rank of the martial path. In terms of offense, Xian Fei was even stronger than Xian Tong. Lightly micro step. Zhao Feng's figure suddenly became erratic, and wherever he went, there would be afterimages. Puchi. 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 Xian Fei's attacks and the afterimages turned into bubbles and nothingness. Casually, Zhao Feng flashed around Xian Fei's body and the latter couldn't even touch the corner of his clothes. Zhao Feng's movement skill is probably close to Zhao Linlong's shadow step. Zhao Feng was shocked. Raging Dragon Fist. Zhao Feng suddenly attacked, his fists howling like the roar of an angry dragon. Pang! Dang! The fist and the saber clashed several times. Xian Fei was forced back, and his blood and qi were shaken. This was under the situation where Zhao Feng controlled his cultivation to be at the peak of the 4th rank. Dang! After 10 moves, Xian Fei's blade was knocked away by Zhao Feng's finger. That finger seemed ordinary, but it was extraordinarily powerful. Xian Fei's blade was knocked back tens of meters, and it fell to the ground with a clang. Xian Fei admires your strength. Other than Xian Wuheng, you are the 2nd expert that I am willing to submit to. Xian Fei didn't give up, and he turned around to pick up his blade. Pressure and encouragement over and over again would only serve as a greater motivation for his growth and progress. One day, you will become an expert in the path of the blade. Zhao Feng couldn't help but praise. He could see potential and tenacity in Xian Fei, which was something that most of the geniuses here didn't have. After defeating Xian Fei, Zhao Feng showed his strength. Even if his opponent was only at the 4th stage of the martial path, anyone with a discerning eye could tell how strong he was. It was especially so for the last finger. With just a light tap, it sent Xian Fei's saber flying. Zhao Feng, you have improved a lot. Xian Tong slowly got up. After a moment of rest, he had more or less recovered. That was because the battle with Zhao Han didn't injure him too much. I lost to you last time, and this time, I will take revenge. Zhao Feng's face was serious. You are too humble. Last time, you were not at the 4th rank of the martial path, and I couldn't do anything to your movement technique. This time, I hope that you won't hide, and you will fight like a real man. Xian Tong wasn't arrogant. Then, I won't be polite. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and threw a simple punch. Good. Xian Tong laughed. He had never been afraid of a head-on clash. Clang. The 2 fists were like machines forged from copper and iron. When they collided with each other, they produced the sound of an exploding wok. Hoo! Formless waves of air and afterlife reverberated, rushing in all directions. Many of the geniuses present felt their eardrums explode. What terrifying strength! Many of the spectators had lingering fear. That sound alone was enough to shake their souls. After taking the punch, the 2 of them stood still like statues. The crowd was dead silent. After a while, one of them trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 48. It was a head-on clash of strength. There were no fancy techniques, only raw power. Only one move was enough to determine the winner. Many of the geniuses were shocked and couldn't believe their eyes. The one who was injured was Xian Tong. Xian Tong wasn't like Xiao Feng. He was famous among the younger generation in Sun Feather City, and he was ranked second only to the 4 great geniuses in the last Genius Summit. In many people's minds, Xian Tong's body tempering skill was one of the best in the younger generation. However, no one had expected that he would be defeated in one move, and he had lost in a contest of strength. I lost. If I'm not wrong, you're practicing the metal wall technique, which is at least at the peak of the 4th stage. Xian Tong wiped the blood off his mouth. He had seen through the body tempering skill that Xiao Feng was practicing. The metal wall technique was more advanced than the copper skin metal body, and it was more difficult to comprehend. In terms of power, the metal wall technique was no weaker than a top-tier martial art. Rumor had it that it was a simplified version of the legendary holy martial art, silver wall technique. That's right. Xiao Feng didn't deny it. His metal wall technique wasn't just at the peak of the 4th stage. A few days ago, he had reached the 5th stage. When did Sun Feather City have such a person? His body tempering skill is even better than Xian Tong's. His defense is probably the best in the younger generation in Sun Feather City. After defeating Xian Tong, Xiao Feng's fame rose, and many of the young geniuses were talking about him. After the battle, Xiao Feng didn't continue and returned to the Zhao clan's pavilion. Zhao Han, Zhao Qi, and the others looked at him with shock and fear, especially Zhao Han. This was especially so for Zhao Han. He couldn't even beat Xian Tong in 100 moves, but Xiao Feng had defeated him in one move. It seemed like the gap between him and Xiao Feng was getting bigger and bigger after the family martial arts competition. Of course, since Xiao Feng and Xian Tong were fighting with brute force, it was normal for the winner to be decided in one move. Therefore, Zhao Linlong, who was the most powerful person in the Zhao clan, only showed a hint of surprise on his face, but he soon recovered his composure. One by one, the young geniuses appeared on the stage. After the time it takes to burn half an incense stick. TSK, it's my turn, a lazy youth walked out of the Zhao family. He was also at the 5th rank of the martial path. This time, it was Zhao Qi in terms of ranking. Zhao Qi was even one rank higher than Xiao Feng, just below Zhao Linlong. Not only was Zhao Qi's cultivation high, he was also proficient in all sorts of martial arts. The moment he went up, he defeated a 5th-rank genius from the Xian family and the Qiu family. Especially at the last moment, Zhao Qi had used a top-notch fist art. Many people were confused by the sudden turn of events. Why me? Although Xiao Feng wasn't afraid of fighting, he was also puzzled. I want to know what's so special about Brother Zhao that a beauty like Miss Yufei would barge into the Qiu family to ask for an invitation for you. Qiu Changyi stared at Xiao Feng. He knew that Zhao Yufei might be in love with Xiao Feng. If he wanted to replace Xiao Feng, he had to defeat Xiao Feng. What? Yufei asked for an invitation for him? Zhao Linlong's heart was filled with jealousy. He couldn't help but look at Xiao Feng in a new light. Thank you, Yufei. Xiao Feng smiled at Zhao Yufei gratefully. He finally understood how this invitation came about. Since Zhao Linlong always ignored him, it was very likely that he didn't get an invitation. We're good friends and neighbors. If you want to thank me, you have to defeat him. Zhao Yufei smiled. Her smile was like a lotus that bloomed after the rain. On her pure white skin, there was a hint of red. At that moment, her beauty even overshadowed Qiu Mengyu, the most beautiful girl of Sun Feather City. Alright, I'll do as I say. Zhao Feng felt a warm current burning in his heart. Not for anything else, but for Zhao Yufei to ask for an invitation for him. He couldn't give in and he couldn't lose. Zhao Feng, I hope you won't disappoint the girl behind you. Qiu Changyi was a little envious and jealous. However, it was Zhao Linlong who was burning with jealousy. Why? How dare this branch family brat take my woman? Zhao Linlong's expression flickered in the night, making him seem slightly gloomy. At that moment, two figures clashed with each other. Qiu Changyi's movement technique was still elegant, like a white colt flashing across a crevice. He was dressed in white and looked elegant. Coupled with his movement skill, he became the focus of the ladies. However, his opponent's movement skill was also very fast. Lightly floating fairy. Lightly micro step. Zhao Feng used his movement skill and movement skill. These two martial arts of his were of the same origin, and they were related to each other. Up until now, Zhao Feng's lightly floating fairy was still at the initial success level. It was only slightly better than before, but it was still a distance away from the greater success level. However, this movement skill couldn't be measured by common sense. It was even more powerful than other top-tier martial arts. In terms of speed, Zhao Feng used 70 to 80% of his strength to fight Qiu Changyi to a draw. As for lightly micro-step, he had only used it to the greater success level, which made Qiu Changyi feel helpless. How could this be? This guy's speed and movement skill are on par with mine. Qiu Changyi's heart trembled as cold sweat appeared on his back. For a long time, he was known as the best among his peers in Sunfeather City. However, today, there was someone who was on par with him. Qiu Changyi couldn't beat his opponent in what he was best at. However, Zhao Feng's body tempering skills and attack skills were obviously better than his. Star finger. Zhao Feng yelled as he pointed his finger. Along with the sharp whistling sound of his martial path inner force. Whoosh, that finger instantly condensed the martial path inner force into a single point and merged it with all the energy in his body. It drew a faint green dot in the air at an extremely fast speed. Poof! Qiu Changyi couldn't dodge it and took the attack head-on. He felt a sharp pain in his arm and lost all feeling in it. There was even an extremely condensed inner force that was directed into his organs, which almost made him puke blood. Tang! 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 He took a few steps back before regaining his balance. Top-tier finger skill. How can I lose? Qiu Changyi gritted his teeth and prepared to use his ultimate skill. Pa! An iron-like arm lightly patted on his shoulder. What? Qiu Changyi felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. It turned out that Zhao Feng had found an opening when Qiu Changyi was in a daze and used the light micro-steps to move behind him at an unbelievable angle and speed. I lost. Qiu Changyi was in a daze. He still couldn't believe it. But that was the truth. Zhao Feng's speed was not any slower than his and his attacks were stronger. He had even learned the famous star finger. Star finger. Zhao Linlong's eyebrows twitched. Star finger and spatial cloud finger were both top-notch martial arts with great offensive power. Zhao Tiansong had once said to him, "The weaving cloud finger that I taught you is the best among all the top martial arts in the Zhao family. If you don't teach me star finger, the other top martial arts won't be able to compete with you." Then why didn't you teach me star finger? Zhao Linlong was confused. Star finger is too hard to learn and it's very dangerous. One mistake and you might hurt yourself. Plus, even if you're the head of the family, I can't just let you go to the martial arts library and pick a top martial art. The scene from back then replayed in his mind. Luckily, Zhao Feng's star finger has only reached the second level. If he had reached the third level, it would be troublesome. Zhao Linlong let out a sigh of relief. Judging from the scene just now, Zhao Feng's star finger shouldn't have reached the third level. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.